Welcome into Radio Row here at Super Bowl 57. I am Matt Verderame, and with me is Malcom Harris-Gowdie. Welcome in, man. How are you doing today?
Fantastic, Matt.
Awesome.
Appreciate you having me on this Stack in the Box live stream.
No doubt. Here on Stack in the Box, Arrowhead Addict, we've got it all going on. We're going to have plenty of guests for you here over the next couple hours. Malcom and I will be here for the whole thing. We're going to have Kay Adams, we're going to have Trey Wingo, TJ Hockenson, Shaun Alexander, Kenny Mayne. Kenny Mayne's up first. He's going to be joining us in about 7 minutes here, 10 o'clock local time. But Malcom, while we're sitting here waiting, let's talk about the Super Bowl a little bit. What are you most looking forward to in the game between the Chiefs and the Eagles?
I'm looking forward to everything, Matt. I'm looking forward to a great showdown between both teams. The chess match between Nick Sirianni and Andy Reid, and it's going to be a fantastic game. I'm also looking forward to the halftime show with Rihanna and the national anthem with Chris Stapleton, and getting to be reporter alongside you. It's going to be amazing, and this is the moment that I've been waiting for a very long time.
Can't wait to do it. It should be a lot of fun. What has been your favorite part of the experience so far here? I mean, it's only Wednesday morning. We got a long week ahead of us. But
yeah. The key highlight for me so far has to be opening night on Monday night, where I got to interview Coach Andy Reid of the Chiefs. I got to talk to Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Miles Sanders, Travis Kelce, and I also got to talk to Gracie Hunt as well.
Yeah.
So far, I would say opening night has been my favorite.
Awesome, yeah. And Gracie Hunt, Travis Kelce, friends of the podcast. They've been on before. They do a terrific job. What do you expect from Travis Kelce in the Super Bowl? I mean, he obviously a great player. He's had a couple of big games in the playoffs so far. Eagles will pay some close attention. Do you think he gets loose? Or do you think the Eagles try to bottle him up?
I think the Eagles are going to try to bottle him up, but you know how Travis Kelce is going to find a way to Patrick Mahomes is going to find a way to get him open. And also for me too, Matt, it's going to be key that the offensive line for the Chiefs is able to protect Mahomes, because you got to remember, with the ankle that he had against the Bengals in the AFC title game, so that, that's what the Eagles are going to be keying in on. So that's going to be key right there.
No question. I mean, this is, Mahomes gets hurt in the divisional round against Jacksonville, against Cincinnati. He was limping as the game went on, as you pointed out. Talked to him yesterday. He said the ankle's, quote, way better. Now, is that 100%? No, it's not. Is it 90%? I don't know. Maybe between 80 and 90.
I mean, we'll find out we'll find out Sunday.
I think that might be the biggest key in the game. If he can move around and escape some pressure,
right,
then all of a sudden it becomes a lot harder to rush him, right? Because then all of a sudden you can get outside, make a play out of the pocket. If he can't move as well, then all of a sudden the offensive line, as you point out, really has to hold up because he hasn't had that mobility.
And you also got to look at from this perspective too, Matt. You got the number one scoring offense in the Chiefs versus the number one scoring defense in the Eagles. So something's got to give on Sunday, So we'll see. We'll see which team holds true and which team will hoist the Lombardi Trophy on Sunday. We'll find out.
It's funny. I was looking through Twitter last night, and I forget where I saw the stat, but Mahomes against top 5 defenses in his career is 11-2.
Right.
So it'll be fascinating. Obviously, he saw a couple of them in the 49ers and Buccaneers.
Right.
1-1 in those Super Bowls. We'll see how the rubber match goes, so to speak. But I'm really fascinated to see in this game. There's no Tyreek Hill. Ball's going to get spread around more.
Right.
Kelce, of course, the focal point like we talked about.
And you don't have Mecole Hardman for the Chiefs.
Yep, he's out.
He's on IR. Yep. He's on IR. And I'm interested to see if Isaiah Pacheco will step up. You got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back for Kansas City. I mean, you got all those guys. We'll see if those guys will step up for Mahomes. Because Mahomes, to me, is not. To me, even though his ankle is, even though he's limited mobility-wise, that don't necessarily mean that Patrick Mahomes can start running on and stuff like that. So you gotta figure, it's gonna be key.
Oh, well, I mean, heck, he was limited against the Bengals, and it didn't stop him from throwing for 326 and 2 touchdowns. And the biggest play of the game, he took off running. I was able to pick up that first down, get the penalty, and end up kicking the game-winning field goal. We're going to welcome in Kenny Mayne here in a second, who is working with Caesars. And so I'll have him come in. But look, I just think it's going to be a great game. I think it's close. I think both teams are. I think they're the two best teams in football.
Yeah.
So really looking forward.
Yeah,
to
it's
it.
going to be close for me as well. To me, it's going to for me. I think it's going to come down to a game-winning field goal, and I think it's going to be Harrison Bucker kicking that game winner, and the Chiefs win it.
He's been clutch throughout his playoff career. It has not
Yeah.
been a problem. He's always seemingly finding ways. So it's worked out for him. As we're gonna welcome in Kenny Mayne, who's nice
All
enough
right.
to join us here for a few minutes on Radio Row.
Check.
Hey, how you doing, Kenny?
I'm well.
What's up, Kenny?
Got in here. How you doing? You good?
Good.
Hey, good.
I
good.
did the Seattle Special Olympics event. That was fun.
Yeah, awesome.
Few
Awesome.
years back, right? That was like a big dang deal. I feel like it was 20. Was it 18? I can't remember. 2018? I can't remember.
Where was it held in Seattle?
All over Seattle.
Oh, just
Yeah.
throughout the city.
I did the awards show for it. I've been involved with Special Olympics a bunch of years. One time we were judges in a skiing event, and that, it was just like time them through the make sure they're okay.
Sure.
And this kid falls down, and I'm a very average skier myself. Like I might need to lift up, but he falls down. But it's a real competition. You want to help him up, but you shouldn't help him up. It's you don't go out on the basketball court and help. You got to shoot a free throw.
Exactly.
And finally, he just wasn't going to get up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he DQ'd. Like I pick him up. He's as bigger than me, and we're kind of facing downhill.
Right.
He might have gone through the lobby. He was going so fast. If he had only gone like that, he was winning the thing. But no, I've long been involved in that, and it's obviously a great program.
It is. It's a terrific cause, and I wanted to ask you off the top. You're working with Caesars. Why the partnership, and what are you looking at this week in terms of the betting angles of the game?
Well, they'd like me to mention quick picks. What they do on those sometimes, like how people will make up a bet. They'll say, Sonics. Oh wait, there's no Sonics anymore. Sonics are going to win. Gus Williams is going to be over 20, and Jack Sikkim is going to have 10 rebounds. You make a parlay, right?
Right.
Caesars has been doing like, hey, we'll nominate some. If you like them, play them. If you don't like them, don't. But the origin of it was I played football at UNLV a long time ago. That's where I'm wearing this brace that we might talk about too, from football. And the first place I ever went, like on my recruiting thing, was Caesars Palace. And then coincidentally, I leave ESPN. Caesars, one of the companies that called, hey, do you want to have a talk about maybe doing something?
Right.
So essentially, I do a lot of the same stuff I've always been doing. I'm just doing it for a different outlet, a little shorter, used differently, promoting a product, But I do less of, hey, here's the quick pick thing, than do like little feature stories that sort of complement the whole overall look of Caesars and the message they're putting out.
Right. So you mentioned, Kenny, about your connection with Special Olympics. Can you elaborate more on your connection with Special Olympics and the importance of that?
Well, way back when at ESPN, they had a relationship, and they still do. And I'd be invited. Like I said, I did some judging. I showed up at events. Sometimes just showed up to show up, cheer the kids on. And several times I hosted kind of like the awards, the big year-end thing, right? The celebration of Special Olympics there. Did some out in Seattle as well. Did the big games out in Seattle. So, the affiliation is easy. I was asked, hey, do you want to do it? And I said, yes. And then once you're asked once, you get asked twice. And then pretty soon it's like, I want to, what's the next thing? What are we doing? So it's not like I'm actively daily,
right?
But it's more like, hey, something comes up. Can you help out? Can you be there? And it's always been fun. It's been, 30 years of it or 25 years of it.
Now, I wanted to ask you, because you were at ESPN for a very long time. You were involved in some of the This Is Sports Center commercials. Of all those commercials, either that you were in or maybe even the ones you weren't, what's your favorite one? What's the one that's most memorable to you?
That's so hard. I when I get asked this, I usually end up naming like 7, but just one.
Yeah.
Well, there's a tie. Stuart Scott in both with me, or me with him.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Kobe and Keyshawn were rookies, and we did this bit about, we called it rookie camp, and we were going to toughen them up.
Right.
Here's how you got to handle the media. You got to be more assertive, et cetera. And we're like yelling at these guys. It was all a play. But the only thing I didn't like is I was wearing like mom jeans and a tucked in shirt. Like,
right.
What was I doing? Like, I think I was trying to conform, and I hate tucking in my shirt. But I think for that is like, all right, I should look like and I looked worse. The other one, me and Stuart on a basketball court, kind of not a borderline Special Olympics note. They called it what they call a big buddy program. It was like us with kids in the community, giving back to the town.
Right.
And then Stuart and I become jerks immediately and steal the ball from the kids. And sort of like the Peyton Manning, remember the SNL, but we did ours first, just so you know.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received, Kenny? Share a little bit on that.
Got a good one. I played junior college football before I went to UNLV, and my coach, Sandy Cooprider, he knew a bunch of us thought we were better than where we were, right? Like I wanted to go to D1. Other people had whatever their ambitions were, but none of us, or few of us, thought we were where we were where we should be, right?
Right.
But he sensed that, and by the way, I love the whole community college and playing JC football. It gave me a chance to grow and get bigger and get ready for something else. And at the same time, you're kind of jealous of, man, why am I playing here and not playing there, right? That was the point. So his note was, whatever you're doing, make it your big time. Like so what if you think you're better? You're here. Don't you're not elsewhere. You're here. And he, kind of slapped us in the face a little bit, like wake up and enjoy what you're doing and work hard at what you're doing, and whatever you're doing, make it the best thing it can be in that moment. My mom and dad always said the same thing. If whatever your job is, I used to be a garbage man. Like, be a good garbage man. Do what, that was a summer job. But and the other one comes from Nick Zito, a horse race trainer.
Yeah.
He was at the Belmont, and he had never won the Belmont to this point.
Right.
And he'd always run second, like 7, 8, 9 times. And he was kind of getting grilled, like, how disappointing is that? He's like, well, second's pretty good, it's better than third. And he said, here's the thing. You can't even lose if you don't enter.
Yeah.
And it's just like a really cool way to look at things. Like, put yourself out there, be willing to fail. Of advice I always give, like, don't have pride about it. Like, you're trying for a job and you don't get it, then try for another one, or go back to the first one and explain, here's how I've improved, or whatever your marketing of yourself is. So kind of like, just keep trying, be doing something.
You a big horse racing guy?
I grew up at a track called Long Acres, which was south of Seattle, built in the 30s, just like Santa Anita, kind of had that same feel. You could see Mount Rainier in the distance. Gary Stevens kind of made his name there, and then he moved down to California and really did it. So
for you, 73 Belmont, Secretariat, 31 Lions. Is that the greatest athletic performance of all time? Because there's always a debate of like, well, it's a horse, it's not a baseball player, it's not a football player. Where do you stand on that?
I include Secretariat in that argument. Whether it's the first one or not, I think it should count. Absolutely. Like, it was, and you can count all of it. The jockey, the trainer, the athletic achievement was man and beast, and I'm old enough to remember it pretty well. Like, it was so bizarre. Like, as he just kept pulling and pulling away. I have a really cool photo of that at home, but it's not the shot that you think. It's a tight shot.
Right.
Oh, really?
It's just, there it is at the wire. It's seen in a different way because we're all so used to hearing the call. He's moving like a tremendous machine. Yeah.
So you've been part of sports media for a long time, Kenny. So I would love to ask you, did you have a favorite sports personality growing up?
Well, there were probably a bunch, but the thing is, and it was probably more local, like the local guy that called the Seattle Sonics, Bob Blackburn, like people that you related to because they're right there.
Right.
But growing up, and then even in college, I didn't want to do sports. I wanted to do news. I wanted to be end up being like Ken Burns or something, like do serious stuff, documentaries.
Right.
I got on at a TV station in Seattle out of college. Took a while to get on the air. I was like a gopher for a while and moved up as a producer and so forth. And they just shifted me to sports. Like, hey, we're adding a weekend show. You're doing sports. And it wasn't like volunteering for it.
Right.
But once I started doing it, got to create it and got to own it, then ESPN became my goal.
Awesome.
Yeah. You mentioned at the top, you got a brace on the right leg. I know some people can't see maybe on the camera, but what's going on? Was it an athletic injury, or was it like you fell out of bed and went down?
No. It wasn't all that heroic, but it was football. It was last play of a game at Oregon, my junior year of college. I had a fracture dislocation. Guy stuck his helmet on my ankle to end the game, which is always a good thing. Have your leg underground at the end. And I came back and played the next year. I was second string, but I was healthy enough. I recovered enough.
Right.
But year by year, decade by decade, it's just the way it is, right? Old stuff starts getting worse. So I found this guy in Gig Harbor, Washington, and he makes this device. I should hold it up for your camera. Can your camera see this?
There it is.
There it is.
So this device takes all the pressure off the joint.
Yeah.
Huh.
And once I got mine, after I cried for 3 hours, I couldn't believe my life changed like that.
Wow.
I ran on the first day. Not like 10-mile run, but I ran on the
course.
treadmill. And so Gretchen and I said, let's make something good out of this. And we started a foundation. It's called Run Freely, RUNFREELY, runfreely.org. And people can donate there if they want to, and we get the next veteran going pain-free.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, Kenny. I'm going to get you out here on this last question. What's your favorite Super Bowl you have covered?
When the Seahawks beat Denver, worst one the next year when they lost. And I wasn't covering either of those, actually.
Right.
I just went there as a fan.
Right.
I had done other work, but I just went there to cheer my team on.
Nice.
Seattle should have not given it to Marshawn. They should have faked it to Marshawn
Right.
and rolled left. Now you run it in, you throw it in, you throw it away. Now it's third down if you don't. But no, they ran that play over there, and Malcolm Butler still has the ball.
Yeah.
I remember that very, very well.
And the answer to your other question, I think it's a complete toss-up game. But if I had to bet a penny, it would be Philadelphia.
Okay.
But all you others can bet responsibly at Caesars.
That's right.
That's right.
Make your own choices.
That's right, White. Kenny, thank you so much for
Thanks.
joining
All
us
right.
today.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate your time.
Appreciate your time, Kenny.
Thank you.
Enjoy the
Thanks
week.
for having me.
And listen, if you'd like to go and bet at Caesars, we have a promo for it. Code name is ARROWFULL. Why it's not Arrowhead? I don't know, but it's ARROWFULL, FULL. Get your first bet on Caesars up to $1,250. And I'm going to read the disclaimer. We're going to have some fun with this. New customers only, 21 and up, and present in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, Wyoming, and West Virginia. $10 or more wager required, and bet amount of qualifying wager returned only if wagered is settled as a loss. Maximum bet $1,250, as I mentioned, and must be used within 14 days of the receipt. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER in Illinois, Indiana, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Wyoming, 1-800-522-4700 in Colorado or Kansas, 877-8-HOPE-NY, or text HOPE-NY to New York, 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 888-789-7777 in Connecticut, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Call or text TN REDLINE or 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee, or 1-888-532-3500 in Virginia. Caesars, and put in the code ARROWFULL. It's huge for us. It's really helpful. And for you, it's a fun way to throw a little bit of money on the game and bet on either the Chiefs or the Eagles, depending on which way you want to go.
Yeah, Matt. You got all that in there. That's a chuck full. That's a mouthful to read in there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But I've done it now for months, so I'm well versed in it. What was your favorite part there talking to Kenny?
My favorite part talking to Kenny was a Special Olympics, tie-in. That really that was my favorite part, honestly. How he just tied into Special Olympics, and and how he was able to go to the 2018 USA Games in Seattle. That's what I loved. That's what I loved the most.
We got a few minutes here. We're gonna have Kay Adams on about 20 minutes. But Malcolm, we got a minute. Like, what does Special Olympics mean to you? I mean, obviously it's a big part of your life. It's important to you. How long ago did you get involved in it, and why is it so important to you?
So, Matt, I got involved in Special Olympics back in 2006. Believe it or not, I got involved when I was in high school. I went to Fort Pierce Central High School in Florida. I ran the law enforcement torchman for 3 years in a row. My picture was in the paper 3 years in a row. And I love Special Olympics so much because, they've been able to give me opportunities that no one else, with intellectual disabilities could even be able to do. First time ever being a part of Special Olympics media role for the Super Bowl. First one ever going to a Super Bowl as a reporter. It's unprecedented. Making history for the first time, and it's not gonna be the last. And I'm just grateful that Special Olympics has been able to give me these opportunities.
What does it mean to you to make that kind of history? I mean, obviously for you, and not just for you, but really, like you said, anybody who's dealing with an intellectual disability. I mean, this is as big as it gets in sports. There's no bigger event than this. So, like, what does it mean to you to have this opportunity and to break that ground?
I mean, to me, Matt, breaking this ground is just so amazing. And I want to show everybody out there that if I can do something like this, everybody else can do it as well. That's what I'm trying to show everybody, and and that's what it's all about.
Well, you're definitely doing that. You're doing a hell of a job. You know, when you look at this week and everything going on here, whether it be Radio Row or Media Night, as we talked about, opening night on Monday.
Yeah.
What maybe has surprised you, if anything, about the week so far?
I mean, I've gotten so many surprises so far, but I would have to say yesterday, the surprise from Malcom Bowen just really was the biggest one. Talking to him on Zoom and sharing with me that I get to go to the Super Bowl as a reporter, and then George Kittle yesterday to start out. That was a surprise as well too. As everybody knows, I'm a Niners fan. Even though that they didn't get in this year, but they'll be back next year. They have all the weapons, all the pieces. We're just gonna have to see what happens quarterback wise. We'll see if Trey Lance can be healthy, and maybe Brock Purdy will be healthy enough to play next season. But we'll see.
Being a Niners guy, who should they go with? In your opinion, if you had the call, it's your decision: Trey Lance or Brock Purdy?
It'd be Brock Purdy, because the way he's playing, the way he was playing all season long, the way he was able to lead the Niners offense, he wasn't turning the ball over as much. He stayed cool, calm, collected, didn't really make a lot of mistakes, was able to manage the game like Kyle Shanahan would want him to do. And if it was me, I would go with Brock Purdy.
I'm with you. I mean, I think he's shown he obviously can win games.
Yeah.
I mean, he won a playoff game.
Right.
Beat a good Cowboys team.
Right.
And I think if you're Trey Lance, look, I'm not saying Trey Lance doesn't have a lot of potential. He certainly does. He's third overall pick. But if I'm the 49ers, I'm saying, look, we know a guy who can win.
Right.
We have that guy. I'm with you.
You have the ingredients to win, and for me, you got to be able to have that quarterback that knows that West Coast offense that Kyle Shanahan has so well. So you got to be able to just, you just got to be able to know that offense, know the tutelage of it.
Yep.
Know the terminology, the playbook, the audibles, the things like that. When you're at the line of scrimmage, you have to be able to see what the defense is trying to do and just react to what the defense is trying to do.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Hey, we're gonna add a guest there. We're gonna have CD Lamb of the Dallas Cowboys from Old Spice.
All right,
that's gonna be great. Have him on momentarily, so that'll be good. And then we'll have Kay Adams coming out. So we have a book slate, to put it mildly.
Absolutely.
But that's great. Well, happy to have CD come on. One of the best receivers in the league right now.
Oh, absolutely.
So, for you now, when did you get into town? When did you get into Arizona?
We got in Monday.
Monday. Okay.
Yeah, Monday. We got in Monday morning at 11:47 local. Flew out of Orlando to Houston, and then from Houston to Arizona. The fly was smooth. Going to Orlando to Houston, but the TSA from Orlando International took about 28 minutes usually. So like going through security and you know how Mondays are, like a travel day and things of that nature. So everybody's traveling, you have to go through the TSA. You know how that goes, Matt, when you're flying into different cities around the country and all that jazz, so the flight was smooth and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad that the flight was good. You never know with that. Sometimes it's okay, and sometimes it's a real process to make it happen.
Give or take.
Hey, we're gonna welcome in CD Lamb here, the Dallas Cowboys, right now. How you doing? Welcome in.
Appreciate you. I'm good. How are you?
Good, CD. What's happening?
Nothing much, man. Early morning, getting it in.
So,
appreciate you taking the time with us.
Of course. Appreciate you guys having me.
So we got CD joining us here, obviously with Old Spice, Old Spice swagger as it is. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're repping and why you're repping it?
Old Spice is really to save a lot of guys. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. But of course, a lot of people will tell you when you got something in your hair, you got something in your teeth. Mm-hmm. They never really tell you when you smell bad. So. And that's where Old Spice come in. They do a great job of just, canceling out all those situations. You can really just focus on, the main thing. And the Old Spice swagger 24/7, long-lasting deodorant, it's helped me out a lot. So I know it can help a lot of other people. So
it's important to stay fresh.
Absolutely.
Most definitely.
So as a wide receiver, what's your training regimen like during the season and also in the offseason?
During the season, I focus more on core and legs, and as I do on the offseason as well. Granted that all we do is run, so that comes from the core and it comes from the glutes and the legs, and I focus on that all offseason. And then I kind of get more in the field and speed conditioning, more so right before training camp. So it's a little bit of strength and conditioning, of course, but just more so taking care of my body and having a ritual for myself so I can just keep a routine.
2 years ago, you break out, you have a great year, we'll go over 1,000 yards, make the Pro Bowl. This past year, over 100 receptions, most catches ever had, most yardage, most touchdowns. Did you feel some pressure to step up with Amari getting traded over to Cleveland, knowing that, and maybe it was before like a 1A, 1B. Now it's, look, I'm the guy. Right. I've got to make sure that I'm getting open. And, of course, you missed Dak for a month and a half there. Mm-hmm. Was that part of the reason you felt like maybe your game got elevated?
Most definitely. Not having Dak my first 5 games kind of mandatorily made me grow. And by that, I feel like expand as a receiver, expand my knowledge as far as being a teammate and able to explain it to my guys, the guys that's younger than me, or that just getting in. Because mind you, I'm in my 3rd year, but I'm the youngest in my room. Yeah. So as far as experience, I'm one of the oldest. So as far as, relating the messages to the guys and understanding my positioning, I wouldn't say as much pressure because I felt like I was ready for this moment, but it was more so an opportunity. That's what I looked at it as.
So I'm going to ask you, how'd you get a nickname CD? Where did it come from?
My Pee Wee coach, off the rip, I told him my name was Sedarian, right? So we were in stretch lines. He was like, bro, we got to come up with a nickname because, at practice, I'm not going to just Sedarian, you know what I'm saying? So, and I was all for it at a young age. It's a lot of nicknames. A lot of guys have nicknames on the team. So we're one day in a stretch line, I was the stretch circle, and the coach came up to me. He's like, CD. I looked around like, who is that? And he's like, yeah, that's you. That's going to be your nickname. And ever since then, it stuck with me.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
Awesome, CD.
You guys had a great year this year, right? I mean, you come on strong at the end. You have a big win against Philly late in the season, 40 points in the game. I'm curious, that game against Philadelphia, I know they were missing some parts. I mean, Hurts doesn't play on the offensive side. Defensively, they didn't have Gardner Johnson. But what was it about that game you guys felt you were able to shred a pretty good Eagles defense?
Because, bro, understanding the parts that we have on offense. Granted, the first time they beat us, we didn't have that.
Yeah, of course.
So,
right.
Of course.
Cooper
we could put a situation, a scenario in either one of these games that it went 1-1, and understanding that we would have had the rematch in the NFC Championship. Granted, everybody wanted that, but of course, unfortunately, San Fran beat us. But man, it was a great game. It felt like David and Goliath, big on big, and honestly, because they're the number 1 pass offense going into the game, and we're the number 1 pass offense, if I'm not mistaken. Well, they're the number 1 defense versus the pass offense.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Pass defense, should I say.
Right.
And then, boom. So it was going to be a great game. It was highly anticipated, and I understand in the situation that we have a lot of guys that we need this game. A lot of things going on this. So, again, just everything building up into the game made the game bigger than what it really was.
Did you have a favorite wide receiver growing up as a kid that you wanted to follow your game after and emulate?
Most def. I liked Reggie Wayne a lot. Who else? There's a lot of guys. I liked Pierre Garçon when he was in Washington or Indiana, actually. I was a big fan of the Colts, now that I think about it. When they had Joseph Badal, Marvin Harrison, all those guys, Peyton Manning, Dallas Clark. Yeah, it was crazy. And Andre Johnson. The list could go on and on, but Andre Johnson and Reggie Wayne were the main 2 for sure.
I'm curious. This game, obviously, you got Kansas City and Philadelphia. I know you didn't play Kansas City this year. You played Philly, of course, a couple times. How do you break down the game? I mean, from your perspective, player perspective, how do you break it down, and would you give one team the edge over the other?
Quite honestly, I feel like the defensive line is going to be the impact of this game. Rather it's Chris Jones and his crew, or Fletcher Cox and his crew. And Hassan Reddick, he's been playing great. Love those guys. I mean, granted that we're division rivals, but I give credit when it's due. I'm a realist. Right. They have 4 guys up there. They you know what I'm saying? Like, the pass rush is crazy. And the number 1 thing in this league is a passing league. So if you cannot pass the ball, you're not going to win, unfortunately. But Man, I don't know. This should be a good one. I like both guys, but I got more friends on the Eagles, but I feel like me as a Dallas Cowboys is prohibited me for going to the, you know what I'm saying? So I got to go with KC.
Okay.
Is there a teammate in the locker room you would say is the funniest?
As far as we got a lot of comedians in that locker room. Tyler Smith is actually pretty funny. You just got to talk to him. He got jokes all day. Zeke. We got a lot of guys.
What about Tony Pollard?
TP, he funny, but he don't look to be the comedian.
Right.
Tyler and Zeke are your two, and then there's me. I'm not even going. It's me. I'm I'm the third one.
What do you hope? Look, I know it's not your decision to make personnel calls and whatnot. I understand that. What are you hoping for out of the Cowboys this offseason? Is there anything you're like, you know what, I'd really love to see us do X?
Honestly, we just actually take a step. I don't care what it is, who we get. I just want us to take a step and not really be the same team that we were last year, regarding of however it goes. You know, obviously we're moving some parts around. We're getting more like as far as in the coaching staff. We're moving a lot of pieces around. Of course, obviously we saw that Kellen left. I just hope that we make a step this offseason, and then going into fall camp, we just build off everything that we've done last year.
How do you feel about Kellen Moore going to the Chargers and then them elevating Brian Schottenheimer, who was already in the building?
Right.
So you know Shotty,
Yeah,
but I mean, how do you feel about that movement? Were you expecting it? Was it surprising to you?
Very surprising to me. I mean, I wasn't quite honestly, bro. When I leave the building and kind of really relax, I feel like that's where all the surprises come from. So as far as being in the building, I have to be more present. And with that being said, this offseason, I plan on going back to the, Dallas and kind of seeing what we're planning on doing and understanding, like, I'm willing to do whatever we have to do to get to the Super Bowl. As you can see, like the past 2 years, the two teams that won the Super Bowl are guys that made big moves in the offseason. And it's very crucial. So I take the offseason just as serious as I do in season. So
for sure.
If you were not wide receiver, what other position would you play?
Running back. No question. No question. And if it's not running back, I'm playing safety. And that simple, in that order.
You got 1,000 yards in you as a running back?
Most def.
Okay.
You'll be surprised.
Okay.
You'll be surprised.
Is it a little Debo role for you?
Yeah.
Typically.
Okay.
Typically.
Okay.
Is it easy getting 1,000 yards rushing or receiving?
Receiving. For sure, easier receiving. I wouldn't say easy, but it's easier on the receiving end. Because rushing, you're 8 yards back, right? You're always -8, -5.
True.
Every time you're -5, -8. So receiving, you're 0 and you're just going forward,
Your money right now, and you can include yourself. Who's the best receiver in the NFL?
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams.
Point blank period. And I look at, as far as receivers, I look at guys who consistently keep a DB on their toes.
Okay.
And Devontae Adams, bro, there's nothing you can do with him.
Yeah, his back shoulder fades are
crazy.
Ridiculous.
I'm going to get you all on this, CD. What surprised you most about your team this season, the Cowboys, and just the NFL in general? What surprised you the most this year?
Honestly, just our ability and our will to win, no matter how the game went, and then the resilience that we've proved all year. A lot of things didn't go our way initially, and at the end, we still found ways to win. Regarding the situation, regarding the game, regarding how many times it was, how much time was left, we still managed. We still fought back, and we still overcame adversity. So as far as being a part of that, that was a great thing to see.
Awesome. Well, hey, CD, really appreciate your time, man.
Thanks so much, CD.
Thank you.
Best luck this offseason. CD Lamb with Old Spice swagger, 24/7 body wash protection, and believe me, all men should go out and get it. It matters. So, thank you so much. We're going to take a quick picture with CD as we are on the Stacking the Box and the Arrowhead Addict podcast channels. Thanks so much for being here with us today. We have a full crew. There goes CD Lamb, one of the best receivers in the NFL, of course, with the Dallas Cowboys. 3 years in and already 2 Pro Bowls. Not half bad. Most people would sign up for that kind of career to this point in general. And,
we got Kay Adams on deck.
Yeah, Kay Adams is coming on momentarily. So this is a full show. Hopefully everybody out there is enjoying it. I know we are, as we roll into about 9:30 here Mountain Time in Arizona. And I thought, CD gave good answers. Really upfront, really honest.
He did.
So, look, I am very curious to see how Dallas is next year, because Dallas is a team that was right there against the Niners.
Right.
Game could have gone either way.
Right.
And if they played the Eagles, could have been a really interesting game.
Exactly, man. And for me, I'm interested to see how Dak Prescott improves as a quarterback, because you got to remember, Dak Prescott led the league this year in interceptions.
Yeah, and he missed a month.
Right. So I'm interested to see what happens with Dak Prescott.
No doubt.
And if he's able to limit the turnovers.
No doubt. If he can cut those down, maybe even by 5 picks.
Right.
Right. That changes everything. I mean,
exactly.
That could be a couple of games that swing the other way. We know in the NFL how close games are, right? It's always one possession. It's always a game where if you win the turnover battle, you're probably going to win. Like 90% of the time, you win the game if you win the turnover battle. So
and you also got to remember too, NFL is a game of inches as well too. So any mistake is magnified. When it's a regular season game and the playoffs, because you can't make those mistakes in the postseason and expect to win. And advance. So it's a win and advance type of thing. It's like you said, if you win the turnover battle, you'll be good.
Probably win the game. And we saw against San Francisco, Prescott throws a couple picks.
Right.
That was largely the difference.
Right. If Prescott didn't throw those interceptions in that game against San Fran, the Cowboys would be here right now.
Yeah, and who knows, right? I mean, you don't know. The Eagles get the Niners, and all of a sudden Purdy goes out early.
Exactly.
Well, if they play the Cowboys, who knows, right? And those teams know each other so well. Divisional games are always weird. Such a familiarity.
See, that's what I love about the NFL. You just never know. Any given Sunday, just because you're the best team, that don't necessarily mean you're going to win it all.
Yeah,
that's not always the case. And every given Sunday, a team's going to give you your best shot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Thanks for everybody in the chat, by the way, right now. Really appreciate it. If you could, hit the like button. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Whether or not you're watching on Stacking the Box or Arrowhead Addict, maybe you're a real fan and you're watching on both. You have them just brought up in different tabs.
Right.
If you do that, kudos to you. By the way, I wanted to read it one more time here. So we're going to have Kay Adams on, and I'm just going to preemptively do this. So she's going to be working with FanDuel, and we have a promo going with them, okay? And the code is Arrowhead, and you can get a no-sweat bet on the big game up to $3,000. So if you're rolling heavy, FanDuel might be the way to go. And listen, again, the promo code is Arrowhead. And if you do that, it helps us a ton. We really appreciate it if you're thinking about making a first-time bet there. And it's new customers only, 21 up and present in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, Wyoming, or West Virginia. And yes, I'm going to do this again. I have to legally. $10 first deposit required, up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if you lose. First online real money wager. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, get ready. Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER in Illinois, Indiana, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, or Wyoming. 1-800-522-4700 in Colorado or Kansas. 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona. 888-789-7777 in Connecticut. 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Call or text TN REDLINE. Or 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee, or 1-888-532-3500 in Virginia. FanDuel, Arrowhead. We're going to have Kay Adams joining us momentarily, and when she does, we'll talk a little bit about FanDuel. And then, of course, we'll get into the big game. We'll get into her show.
Yes.
So there's plenty to talk about here. But while we wait for her, what is maybe one of the quieter storylines about this week that you're looking forward to in the Super Bowl come Sunday?
I'm looking forward to that X Factor.
Yep.
That X Factor to me is going to be, the Chiefs defense against that Philadelphia front seven on both sides of the ball, because to me it's going to be one in the trenches. And whatever offensive line can control that line of scrimmage, that to me is going to be the deciding factor of who wins this game.
I agree. I think honestly, the Chiefs' defense has been overlooked in this game. Early in the year, they were not good.
Yeah.
They struggled a lot. They were missing some pieces. They had a lot of young kids, a lot of rookies.
Right.
But those rookies have really stepped up. I wrote a piece this morning about their 3 rookie corners, their rookie safety, and Brian Cook, who's played really well down the stretch. George Karlaftis has been their rookie edge rusher. He's been excellent the second half of the year. He only had a half sack over the first 10 games of the year. Last 7 games of the regular season, 5.5 sacks, had a sack against the Bengals as well. So
absolutely,
he's really stepped up.
So for me, it's going to be whoever whoever wins the first half, to me, the first 5 minutes of the game is going to be crucial. Whoever gets off to a great start, that to me is the team that's going to win. But if you're the Eagles, you don't want to fall behind against the Kansas City team, and you know how Kansas City is. When it comes to Patrick Mahomes and the way he's able to be a magician out there, like doing all these different passes, and things of that nature, and he is so good against the blitz. That's the key as well, Matt. You also got to look into that as well too, because Patrick Mahomes is so good against the blitz. Whenever he's blitzed, he just knows how to get out of there. He could get the ball out of his hands quick. So that's gonna be key.
No question. And on top of that, with Mahomes and that offense, if you get behind them, it can be an avalanche. It can be a lot of points quickly, and it goes from a 3-point game to a 17-point game.
Right.
I think for Philly, you're right. You've got to be able to stay in front or at least stay even, because then you keep running the ball.
Right.
If you get behind by 10 points in the third quarter, then all of a sudden you have that tendency to get away from the run game, throw more. I don't think it's the way Philly wants to play this game.
Right.
You got to have a balanced stack.
Hey, exactly, Matt. And for me, if you're the Eagles, establish a running game early and do not be one-dimensional.
Right.
Have that, establish that running game, control that line of scrimmage, keep that Kansas City offense off the field, especially Patrick Mahomes and especially Travis Kelce.
Yeah, look, it's going to be interesting. Everybody talks every week about taking away Kelce, right? That's always the thing. Like, we got a double Kelce, and then they play the game, and nobody can ever take him away. And I think a lot of that is they move him around. I asked some Eagles players about that this week. They said, well, A, he's great, and B, they move him around all over the offense. So it's hard to get a beat on. You don't know where he's going to line up every play. It's hard to kind of shift your coverage in the moment. I find it really interesting. I mean, obviously the Kelce brothers, that's been a big storyline. I'm curious to see how the Eagles try to take away the best tight end in the NFL.
If you're the Eagles, would you try to play man-to-man, bump and run on Kelce, or would you try a zone defense?
So I would probably try to be physical with them at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
And then maybe at that point you release and they play a lot of zone. So if I'm them, maybe I would bring up a linebacker, chuck him at the line, and then drop into my zone coverage and hope that that's enough to disrupt them. Now, that also is going to be heavily reliant on you've got to be able to get home.
Right.
I mean, look, this game, and we've talked about it, CD talked about it as well, this game's about the defensive lines.
Yeah.
If Philly can get home, they can cause a big problem.
And
if they can't, yikes.
Right, and look at it this way. The Eagles had like over 70 sacks all season long.
Right.
They had 70 sacks all season long. I watched the Eagles all season long, and the way they play defensively, if they just, if that front seven with the Dominican Sue they have, James Bradbury, those guys, CJ Gardner-Johnson, they get it done, look out. I mean, the Eagles can surprise you.
Yeah, Kay Adams is trying to intimidate me from outside the screen.
Hi, guys.
What's going on?
What's okay?
We are we're living all right. How are you doing?
Good. You're such a professional that you wouldn't even look over at me, and I was doing a little dance over there.
Well, listen, that's why they pay me the big bucks.
All right, I'm very excited. I like these mic flaps. We love the Special Olympics, and I will be back whenever you're ready for me.
All right. Well, that's I think that's now. So
yeah, we're ready for you now.
Yeah. So
well then, hello, gentlemen. Hi, guys.
Hi, Kay. How
It's
are
so
you?
nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
What's going on?
It's amazing. Getting to do all these interviews with Fanside. It's been really, really cool.
Yeah, Fansided is amazing. I'm a big Matt fan. Matt and I, cheers, know each other. How's it going so far? Today's, I feel like, has really picked up.
Yeah, a lot more people here. I feel like I've met you 10 times, but in reality, it's the first time I've actually ever met you in person.
Yeah,
We're
it's the
still
first time I
friends.
met you in person.
It's like
Yeah.
it's that
How
Twitter
long-
world.
How long have you
Weird.
and Matt known each other?
On Twitter years,
Couple of
probably.
years,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then we got to do one interview together,
Yep.
which was really, really fun.
Yep.
And now we're here. And that's honestly the best part about Super Bowl. You're here and these players that you've gawked over, watched these great, I just saw CD Lamb. I've never met CD Lamb in person.
They just sat down with us.
I've only interviewed him, and I'm like, CD, your energy is so great.
Absolutely.
He's got such a mature, collected energy, and he used to be really nervous. He used to be a little more low key earlier in his career. Now he's a 2-time All-Pro, and he's amazing. So that's what Super Bowl is all about. And Fansided, I'll be honest, I use Fansided all the time. Matt knows this. I'm always, it's hard to cover all 32 teams. So to get to a place where it's good, sizable information, and for the fans, which I am, it's awesome. So I love the work you guys do.
Well, I appreciate it. I want to ask you, you're here on behalf of FanDuel, and of course, you show Up and Adam, which is terrific. First of all, how crazy has it been for you this week? And second of all, if you would, talk a little bit about FanDuel and what you're doing.
It's very fun because this is my first Super Bowl, and I've done 10. So it's my 10th Super Bowl, but my first with this venture and my own show. and it's insane. And a startup is, no matter what anybody says, it is nuts. It is so fun, up and down, and you're grinding, and I'm booking people, and I'm meeting marketing people I would never even know, and I'm bothering people at 2 a.m. about, like, we want to see your guy. Can we get Saquon Barkley, please? Can we get Saquon Barkley? So it's a lot of negotiating, but that is what I love more than anything.
Okay.
And I love a startup, so it's really fun. I'm basically a warm-up act for Pat McAfee, who's up there right now being boisterous. So I'm just getting everything going. You know, the lights are falling, the mics are getting cut. I can't hear anything, but I'm just getting it ready for the king to take over at 10 a.m.
I mean, Kay, I'm just in awe of what you've been able to do. I mean, your show up in Adams is just amazing. You know what you're doing for FanDuel. I mean, like you said, this is your 10th Super Bowl that you have covered. I mean, talk a little bit about the Super, your favorite Super Bowl that you have covered.
I'll say this. My first one was the most insane because it's a lot. It really is a lot. And I have a young production staff who I love. Marissa Hamilton's been with me for a long time, but it's a grind, and it only gets crazier all week. So I remember my very first Super Bowl, I was sent, it was the Niners Ravens, it was the Harbaugh Bowl.
Yep.
Beyonce, the lights, that whole
New
thing.
Orleans, yep.
And
New
I remember
Orleans.
I was working for NBC at the time, and my all week, all I did was go to those early morning media availabilities with the players. And my job was to ask guys like Jacoby Jones and Alex Smith, and what's your favorite Beyonce song? Will you sing it? And that's, and there's people like, incredible journalists and broadcasters wanting to ask real questions. And that was mine. And I'm getting elbowed out of the way. I'm getting big time. I mean, I have one of my worst.
Yep.
So, but that was really a special one for me because it was my first. My favorite was 2015 here in Phoenix, Seattle, New England. It was very special. I lived in New England at the time. I was doing a show with Tom Curran. I was on the field after the game. I was doing snow angels or confetti angels. That was the most special because that game flipped in a second.
Yeah. I'm curious for you. You were at Good Morning Football for so long, right? And that became, I don't want to say where it became a household name, but nationally, I think that's where people certainly were like, oh, okay, cool. That show is and was very special. And of course, you now with FanDuel, was it hard for you to make that decision to say, you know what, this is a great thing. Like this is a big, but it wasn't hard for you.
No.
You were just kind of ready to do something different.
I'm not afraid to take a risk.
Okay.
And FanDuel opportunity was like slightly talked about at that point, but not really.
Right.
But I knew a year before my contract ended. It ended last May when I knew a year before that I wasn't coming back.
Okay.
They knew a year before, not the show, but like the people negotiating.
Right.
I wasn't supposed to even stay for that last year, but we did an extra year.
Right.
But I just felt, you know what I really feel like? I feel like I did such good work there, and I really built something there. And I won the Emmy out the door. And if that's not a mic drop moment, then what is, right? I was my last show, and then we finally cashed in on that Emmy. And that show was a grind. It is a 3-hour-a-day, incredible, irreplaceable experience. But no, it was not even a question whether or not I was done.
Awesome, Kay. So I would love to ask you, is there a favorite athlete or coach that you have interviewed or covered that you could share?
A favorite guest or interview? Oh my gosh. You know who I met today? I'll tell you guys about that stole my heart. Buda Baker.
Really?
I had never met him. Obviously, I've seen him. He's a 2-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler.
For the Arizona Cardinals.
Yes, and he's incredible. And I can't believe he's been in the league so long. And in my head, he's still like a young player. Veteran. I mean, if we're talking about who I would want to launch a podcast with or have as a regular guest, Buda Baker he's at the top of my list. The way he can break down the game, the way he can explain it. And his overall just disposition, I really liked interviewing Buda Baker this week. But incredible. I like interviewing the guys who don't get the love.
Yeah, the kind
it's
of
like
under
why
the
you fell in love
radar
with the Bengals, because I was like, why is no one picking the Bengals?
I was going to ask you about this because you've kind of become like,
talk to me, Matt. Talk to me.
Yeah,
this is what I do. It's my job. So you're from Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay, so
nothing to love there about sports. Go on.
Sad thing.
Sad thing. It's a sad day.
These things happen.
Yeah.
Look, you had Jordan at one point. Now
we had Jordan.
You don't.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a Knicks fan. I have no sympathy for you ever.
I hear you. I hear you.
All talk about nothing to root for.
Right,
20 years of nothing but pain and regret. That being said,
and 2 Super Bowl wins since. What are you talking about? You guys got something going on. All right.
Knicks,
All right.
regardless. So you now are like a quasi Bengals fan, like you adopted them.
Oh no, I'm full. I'm
You're
fully.
full in.
Yes.
You're all in on
So
the
what-
Bengals.
I've been
made you-
reborn,
what made you
baptized
take the
as a
leap?
Bengals
'Cause
fan.
What made you take the leap into Bengals fandom?
I'll tell you how it happened. I'll tell you exactly. With Hamilton as my witness, we were doing a segment and on Good Morning Football, and the guys were picking their preseason division winners.
Okay.
And
Right.
no one picked the Bengals. No one was talking about the Bengals, and I'm like, why? Just why? Why not? They have Joe Burrow. He's healthy. Why? This is before last season started, and I said, and I was just that kind of stuff. It's why I like the Saints. It's why I like the Chargers. Like, why aren't you talking about these good things that might happen? And then all of a sudden, it started picking up steam. And Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow. He's easy to love that and be a fan of and all of that. So that's fine. But then I rode the steam, and it was all I was saying was giving them national love, which they never get. And
That's
then
true.
I fell in love
True.
with the fan base for this reason. They're not entitled. This year's a little different.
This year changed.
Yeah,
Listen,
this year changed.
And,
up.
and
That
if
Bills
you watch
game,
Up and Adams, I was
everything
like, I don't like
Everything
this.
changed with
I
that
don't
Bills
like this.
game.
I don't like this. But it wasn't so much the play. I mean, Joe Burrow doesn't. They're not saying
Sure.
that kind of stuff. It's whatever. So, but I will say it was the fan base being so just fun. Like, we are appreciative of the moment. Like Titans fans, we're like, why don't you talk about us? Love you, Titans fans, but you do. This year you didn't.
There's a reason I don't
This
talk
year
about.
they
Yeah.
didn't
Of
because
course,
they were like, we have no reason for you to talk about us.
Right.
Right.
So the Bengals, I just fell in love with like the fun ride of appreciating the moment, because I personally find it hard to enjoy the moment when I'm in it and that presence, and they really did that last year.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Is there a sports broadcaster that you love to watch and you try to emulate their style?
No, I wouldn't say I try to emulate. No one can be as I don't know. I don't have a style. I don't think. Somebody asked me like what my goals were. I never had a goal. I can't have my own show or anything. Who do I love to watch? I love to watch Nate Burleson.
Nate's a man.
I
Nice.
just,
Very good.
I like to watch, people who can be hype and can be whatever, but he's just a smooth deliverer. And there's nothing you can give Nate that he can't handle. And he was such a joy to work with. And I'd say Nate I really enjoy. But I'm obsessed with, Carmen Vitale, who covers the Fox beat. I love her. I love everything she writes. I'm obsessed with her. I think Laura Rutledge is so great. I love her and enjoy. And she's very pedigreed. I'm more, well, let's go. But she's really somebody that inspires me. Really, every woman in this industry
She's done a
inspires me.
tremendous job
I
with
know,
NFL
she's the
Live
best.
and
What a great show.
Yeah, SEC
Yeah.
Nation.
What a
It
great
is.
show NFL
Yeah.
Live is.
Makes people
Yes.
smarter.
Yes.
Listen, Kay, we know you are a busy woman. You have
Yes.
to go.
Oh.
You've got a lot of things you got to get
Yes.
done this week. Sure, I'll see you around. Maybe I'll try to intimidate you when you're over there doing Up and
Come
Adams.
over. Listen, and I
Yeah,
heard a
I'll come over
rumor.
too.
Please do.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor that those Good Morning Football boys might be swinging through here. So we got to do a
Okay.
reunion
Okay.
of
All
sorts.
right.
If you guys see something, say something.
Will do.
Absolutely.
All right.
Will do,
Will do.
Kay.
Well,
Thanks,
thanks
guys.
so much, Kay
Thanks,
Adams,
Kay.
FanDuel,
Bye.
Up and Adams. Make sure you watch and follow on Twitter. All the rest of it. So thanks a lot, Kay. Really appreciate it. Sure. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
You hop right in. We are live stream.
Yeah, live stream.
Great. Oh, right here. Thanks, you guys.
All right.
Have a good day. Come
Thanks,
Have a
see
good
me,
one.
okay?
I will.
All right.
We'll
I'll
do.
bother you.
Nice
Take
to
care.
meet you in person.
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
All right. That was Kay Adams of FanDuel. And again, of course, I have the promo code running Arrowhead. I won't go through the whole thing again because if I have to do the legalese one more
Yeah,
time,
you have to do
I'm going to be at an open bar by noon. But great to have Kay.
Pick one.
And pick one. Awesome. Wow.
Awesomeness.
Awesome. Look at that. Up and Adams. Great hat.
Going Bengals.
Thanks so much.
Kay.
Take it easy, everybody. Thank you, guys. Hey, have a good
Take it
one.
easy, guys. You're welcome.
That's a sweet hat. And I'll tell you what, it gets colder than you think in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Okay? Everybody's like, well, who the hell is going to wear a beanie cap? Let me tell you something. It's a desert. Okay? At night, it drops down to 40 degrees.
Yeah.
You're going to need that hat.
Yeah,
So,
you are.
Happy to rock it anytime, anywhere. Kay
Me
is one of
too.
the best in the business. And I'm not saying that she's on here. And as she mentioned, I've known her a little bit through Twitter over the years. I feel like I'd met her like 5 times in person. And then she sat down and I realized, like, I've never met you. I've talked to her so many times over the years, it's whether it be on Twitter or in a message or whatnot.
Right.
She is so hardworking. She does a great job. She's so knowledgeable. And she's also so nice, which I will tell you.
Yeah.
that's a hit or miss thing in this industry. Like when you get to a certain point, certainly she's there. Kay has done A+ work. So we thank her for coming over and stopping by. And now, look, so you got the orange and black hat. Very nice.
Got the
Very
Bengals.
Nice. There you get the Bengals.
She repping the Bengals, you know.
She is. I went old school. I went the green and white. I said, you know what? I do the Chiefs podcast. If I have a Bengals colored hat, they're gonna kill me. So, but hey, it's a nice looking hat.
Hey, they won't kill me, at least, you know.
No,
so.
no, you don't have to worry about that.
Right.
I do. I have to consider that.
Right. You're in.
So let me make sure we have a super chat I want to make sure I get into here from Mike in Sweden. And Mike, thanks so much, man. Super generous. And Mike's asking, who and what do you think will be the X factor? And do you think that a win will restart the dynasty talk and cement Patrick Mahomes as the best to ever play the position? So I'll start with you, Malcolm, then I'll answer the question as well. What do you think should be the X factor in the game?
X factor to me in the game is going to be Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, that's going to be the X factor for me. I want to see, how the ankle injury is of his.
Sure.
And if he can, if he can cement himself, with this legacy of his, then he'll get the respect that he deserves, that he should rightfully get, and then we can end this whole chit chatter about giving Patrick Mahomes the respect that he's due.
Yeah, no, I think the X factor is going to be in this game, and it's well said. I think it's really going to be the Chiefs defensively, those rookie corners in the game. I wrote a lot about them. There's a piece up on Fanside. I tweeted out as well. If you could check it out, a lot of work went into it. I talked to Patrick Mahomes for it, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, all the corners themselves. I talked to Brian. Dude, I didn't talk to Brian Cook. Wasn't made available. I talked to Juan Thornhill about Brian Cook. Got a lot of real good insight there. I talked to Brett Veach about it as well. But I think those guys and how they deal with A.J. Brown, how they deal with Devonta Smith, obviously they're going to have some safety help as well. They're so critical in this game. And to answer your question, Mike, about Mahomes, does it start the dynasty talk again? I think it does to some extent. I mean, look, they'll be in 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. If they win, they'll have won 2 of them. Mahomes, I don't think anybody's going to walk out of this game saying he's the best ever because Brady is beyond reproach for a while.
Right.
Montana, who, by the way, Joe Montana, stick around. But it's something to note with Mahomes. If he wins a second Super Bowl, you enter a whole different pantheon. Like, not many guys have won multiple Super Bowls, and certainly not many have gone to 3 and won 2 Super Bowls. So
right.
I think, let's put it this way. I think a win cements him top 10, and you could argue top 5. I think that's a fair argument to be had.
Right, Patrick. And to answer, and to add on what Matt's saying, for me, Patrick Mahomes winning this, you could actually put him in the top 10, as quarterbacks. Also, you could put him in there as as top 5. I would say right there. I would say for me, if he wins this one, I would say he's like right there, top 5 for me. As a quarterback, the way he's able to dissect defenses, the way he's able to blitz, the blitzes, he's just able to be a magician. It's just unbelievable. So that would be my answer to your question there, Mike.
No, I think it's look, Mahomes is somebody who at this point, I don't think anybody argues he's the best quarterback in the game today. We had that weird quasi argument about it with Burrow for a week, and then the Chiefs won the game.
Right.
But if he wins his game, I honestly, it's a weird thing to say about a guy who's 27 years old. I think the rest of his career is almost about his legacy at that point. If you win 2 Super Bowls, you're cemented. You're that guy.
Absolutely.
Then it just becomes how far can you go?
Right.
How many Super Bowls can you win? How many Pro Bowls can you get to? So on and so forth.
And you also gotta look at it this way too, Matt. The Chiefs, they're gonna get better every single year. And that division,
a lot of young talent.
Yeah, quite a young talent. And they also are going to upgrade in the draft. You also got to think about that as well.
Yes.
So once they upgrade in the draft, and the AFC is going to be loaded.
No question.
You got Joe Burrow every single year. You got Josh Allen.
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson. I mean, the AFC from top to bottom is stacked. That's why the AFC is such a tough conference to win. And not only that, to get to a Super Bowl in the AFC is really tougher than it is the NFC. The NFC is so easy. You don't really have that. You don't really have that dominant team in the NFC where you say, okay, you're going to run through. The only team I would say you would have to run through in that conference in the NFC would be San Francisco.
Yeah.
Philadelphia,
Yep.
obviously, you know, but those are the only two cities to me is where you're going to have to really run through when it comes to the postseason.
And
all the other teams in NFC, you know, it's not really, you know, they're not really, you
there's
know,
not as much depth.
right. There's
Yeah.
not a lot
Yeah.
of depth. There's not a lot of, you know, a lot of talk either. So,
No, I agree that most of the great young quarterbacks in the AFC.
right.
Right. So, and to your point about the picks, look, I just looked it up. I was Googling it as you said it. The Chiefs are projected to have 12 draft picks coming up this year.
Right.
So you have one in each of the first 3 rounds, 2 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th, 3 in the 6th, 3 in the 7th. I mean, that is a lot of ammo. And I think sometimes, you know, I'll be the first one to say, I look at it and go, yeah, well, 3 in the 7th. They got Isaiah Pacheco and Jalen Watson in the 7th round.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, you know, they got Trey Smith in the 6th round.
Exactly.
So these are picks that you're looking at, the later round picks, but they can be really valuable. Plus, it can be used to trade up.
Exactly.
Right. So if you want to move up 10 spots,
Right.
20 spots, whatever it may
Right.
be, you can package some of those picks. And the Chiefs are going to have a lot of cap space because they didn't sign Tyreek Hill and they
Right.
traded him.
Right.
So it gives them a lot of flexibility.
So for me, if I'm the Chiefs, I would get a top grade wide receiver either through a draft or you try to get a veteran wide receiver to help the young guys.
I agree.
So that, you know, so they can continue to develop.
I think, you know, for them, they might bring back Juju, you know,
Yeah.
maybe bring him back on a couple-year deal. And then,
Right.
but then to your point, you know, we had I interviewed Jalen Hyatt earlier today of Tennessee,
Yeah.
potential, you know, late first round pick. He'd be a guy if he's there for the Chiefs. If he slips a little bit, he'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Right, you bring him in, you put him on the outside. He's an X receiver. He's got a ton of speed. He told me in an interview that we did earlier that'll be up on Stack the Box later. He's hoping to run a 4.29 at the combine. Let me tell you
Wow.
something. He runs a 4.29. Kansas City's not picking him. Okay,
Right.
because he's not going to get there. But
Right.
he at that size and whatnot, a 4.29, you're moving if you're sub 4.3.
If you were part of the Chiefs brass
Yes.
and you had all those picks, who would you go after first?
You know, I think it depends on the board, but, you know, I look at either edge rush, receive, because they might lose Frank Clark and Carlos Dunlap this offseason. So
Right.
edge rush, receiver,
Mhm.
or maybe a right tackle.
Right.
I think those are the three, and whoever's highest on my board at that point is probably the route I'm going. I don't think one of them is so much more important than the other. You know, I mean, obviously, look, they're here, right? They're here for a reason.
Exactly.
But that's probably where I would land on that and say, give me those 3 positions, and then whatever's happening at that time, that's how I'd go. But I think those are the top 3 needs for the Chiefs. You know, going into free agency, and of course, they might even fill a couple of those before we get to the draft.
They may fill a couple of those positions, like you mentioned, Matt. I mean, edge rush is going to be huge. You know, like if they could get an edge rush from the draft, and you got to remember the NFL draft is in their backyard in Kansas City.
Yes, in KC, first time draft's ever been held there.
Right.
So that'll be a lot of fun. We'll be there. I'm looking forward to eating enough barbecue to last me a lifetime.
Yeah. You'll be having a lot of barbecue baby back ribs in Kansas City.
I'll have enough salt in me at that point. I feel like the Michelin man, but that's all right. I feel like that anyway. I look like that anyway. So look, we're going to be joined by Trey Wingo here in about 5 minutes or so. He's going to be coming on, joining us. Can't wait to have him. Trey's one of the best in the business. Also one of the nicest guys you could ever meet.
Absolutely.
And then we'll go from there. We'll have Shaun Alexander, former NFL MVP, running back to Seattle Seahawks.
We'll also have TJ Hockenson as well.
That's right. And we can talk to him about a rare mid-season in-division trade.
Yeah.
When he goes from the Lions to the Vikings.
Yeah.
You don't see that very often, a guy get traded in division, especially a good player.
Right. You like you said, Matt, you rarely see something like that. You know, it's rare. But when he hops on with us, we'll mention that as well.
Yeah, can't wait. So we're gonna have those 3 guys coming up here in the last hour of our 2-hour stream. And then, by the way, at 1 o'clock local time, 2 o'clock Central, 3 Eastern, we'll be back. I'll be back with Patrick Allen for another stream on Arrowhead Attic, a couple hours. And then at that point, I see a lot of people like, hey, Verderame, where's the Mountain Dew? Believe me, for the second stream, it's going to be a case. Okay, I never drink soda. I'm not a soda guy, but I am this week because up in the media workroom, they're trying to truly kill us all. There's no water. It's like Diet Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Diet Mountain Dew. So I'm going Diet Mountain Dew. I don't care. The aspartame, take me away, God.
Or Gatorade, for example. They'll have Gatorade.
Yeah, the occasional Gatorade.
Gatorade here and there.
That's
water.
True. Yeah, water's been a hard commodity to find. I've been looking for water, and I like love you. Look for it in all the wrong places. listen, thank you so much, everybody who's here. If you haven't already subscribed to it, whether it be Arrowhead Addict or Stacking the Box, please go ahead and do that. It would be really appreciated. We here at Fanside are thrilled to be partnering with the Special Olympics for this week of coverage. Malcolm and I will be here all week long. We're also going to be covering the Super Bowl together in Glendale at State Farm Stadium
on Sunday.
Can't wait to do it. Cannot wait. It's been a lot of fun so far. It's been groundbreaking. It's been a ton of fun.
It's unprecedented history in the making. Please subscribe. If you haven't, to Stacking the Box live stream or Arrowhead Addiction.
So it's been great. It's been great to be doing this, and it feels like the amount of guests, as Kay was pointing out, people are picking up. They're everywhere, which is typical. A lot of times on Radio Row, this is my 5th time being here. Mondays and Tuesdays, a little quieter. People start rolling in Wednesday because now they're rolling in for the weekend as well.
Right.
So you get a lot more foot traffic. The NFL Experience is open for the first time today for fans.
Yep.
The shop is open. Patrick Allen can tell you a little bit about that. Man got a sweatshirt, had to take out a loan. But it is what it is. If I'm taking out a loan this week, it's going to be for like a whiskey sour.
Looks like Trey Wingo is
joining us here.
Is about to approach here.
So appreciate Trey giving us a few minutes here.
Hey guys, how are you?
Awesome.
Good. How are you?
Very well, very well. Good to be with you guys.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
When did you get in?
I got in Sunday night. So I've been here all week, and I'll be here until after the game. So looking forward to it.
Where did you fly out of?
I flew out of Maui, Hawaii.
Hawaii. Wow.
Yeah.
How long of a flight was it from for you from Hawaii to here?
About 6 hours. So it was one of those overnighters. So came rested and ready. Not really at all.
Yeah.
Awesome, Trey. Thanks for hopping on with the Stacking the Box with me and Matt.
Absolutely.
So you're working with Caesars
this
week. If you would, Trey, tell us why you're working with Caesars and what you got going on.
Well, they gave me a fancy title, Chief Trends Officer and Brand Ambassador. Basically, they asked me to help people understand why the odds are the way they are. I don't set the odds. There are people way smarter than me to do all of that. I feel like what I do now is sort of the same thing I always did when I was at ESPN hosting NFL Live. I use the information to explain to people why things happen the way they do. For example, the Chiefs are in their 3rd Super Bowl in 4 years, and they're underdogs to the Eagles. Why are they underdogs to the Eagles? Well, because they've had a lot of injuries over the last couple of weeks. Yep. There's still some concerns about Mahomes' ankle. They lost 3 wide receivers in the AFC Championship game. Yeah. And the Niners sort of gave the game to the Eagles, and the Eagles didn't have to do much to win, and they are relatively healthy. Now, I would argue that Jalen Hurts' shoulder to me is more of a concern than Patrick Mahomes' ankle, but that's why right now the line is where it is. It started at 2.5 in favor of the Eagles, and once the Chiefs got a little healthier, that line dropped a little bit because I think people are thinking the Chiefs might be a little better than they thought coming out of the AFC Championship game.
So, Trey, I mean, what who's your X factor that you're looking at Sunday for the game? Who would you say would be your X factor besides the 2 quarterbacks, Mahomes and Hurts?
To me, I'm glad you asked that question because it's a guy that I think has to play as good of a game as he's played all year, and he has done that, and that's Chris Jones.
Yep.
He's a finalist for the Defensive Player of the Year, deservedly so. He had 2 sacks in the AFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. He's come up big for the Chiefs in the past. In Super Bowl 54, he tipped 3 passes at the line that really tipped the balance of power in the 4th quarter against the 49ers. The Eagles have 4 guys with double-digit sacks. They can get pressure from a lot of different places. And the Chiefs are actually – people don't talk about this enough. The Chiefs are the 2nd best sacking team in the NFL in the regular season, behind only Philadelphia.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Chris Jones needs to be what we call a war daddy.
Right.
He needs to be a game disruptor because they move him inside, outside. He's going to have to win battles against Jason Kelsey. He's going to have to win battles against Lane Johnson, who if he's not the best tackle in football, he's the best right tackle in football. And he's going to have to win his fair share of battles against those 2 guys. I think Chris Jones is the most important player on the field for either team.
Taking a little bit of a left turn here, but we talked to Kenny Mayne about an hour ago. I asked him, of all those This Is Sports Center commercials, which one is your favorite?
Yeah.
And Kenny's typical fashion, he said, well, I'd like to name 7, but I'll name 2.
Yeah.
You worked at ESPN for a very long time.
Yeah.
Or maybe 1 or Kenny's World 2
Yeah.
of your favorite commercials over the years that either you were involved in or just that you got to watch from a distance?
Well, the first one is personal. I was in it, and it was Jerry Stackhouse making fun of my name, and we shot it at my desk, and he's just sitting down. He's like, seriously, man, what's your real name? I'm like, it's Trey Wingo. That's literally my name. And he said, say it again. He just starts laughing his head off. But what I like most about that is that they shot it at my desk. And if you look at Jerry in that commercial, you can find it on YouTube. When he's laughing at my name, there are pictures of my kids when they were like 3 and 7 over his shoulder. So that was like, yeah, my kids were in the show. You know, that one. There was a really funny one years ago. It made no sense. It was just stupid. Yeah. It was with Carl Ravitch and one other anchor, maybe Steve Levy, and Georges Murasan, who was a 7'7" center for the NBA.
Wow.
And they're just sort of dancing to like a big boombox. Mm-hmm. And somebody walks by and says, Carl, what are you doing? He goes, nothing, just dancing. And he's like, can I join? Sure. And then the three of them just start dancing. It was so awkward and stupid. And there was like no lines. It was just them dancing. I thought it was really funny. It made me laugh.
Awesome, Trey. I hear you have a great connection with Special Olympics. Can you share a little bit with us about your connection with Special Olympics and just what that means?
Yeah, I got involved with the Connecticut Special Olympics for a few years when I was working at ESPN. And I made sure I brought my kids every day because people want a chance to compete, right? No matter where they are, if you have a competitive spirit, you want the opportunity to showcase that. And I just think what the Special Olympics has done over the year has allowed so many players like yourself to have the opportunity to go out there and compete. And that's all you ask for, right? When people say, why do you think losing on Championship Sunday is worse than losing the Super Bowl? Because everyone just wants the opportunity to compete for that ring, for that opportunity.
Right.
And the Special Olympics give so many athletes from a wide range of possibilities the opportunity to compete. And if you are at all inclined athletically, and if you all have a competitive drive at all, you just want the opportunity. And what the Special Olympics has done over the years is given so many people who didn't have the opportunity to compete, the opportunity to fulfill that dream and that drive. And that to me is really special.
Awesome, Trey.
You know, when you look at all and I know you've been involved in a lot of things throughout the years, whether it be Special Olympics, whether it be the Ronald McDonald's House. Where does that spirit come from that you want to be involved and give back and make sure that people who maybe aren't always included and should be are so? I mean, where does it? Is there something that from your background, or is it just just how you feel?
There's a couple of things. One, we're only as good as we are as a society if we're in this together. You know, we need to have everybody involved, and that's a big part of it. But you mentioned the Ronald McDonald House. That was personal. Because when I was working in St. Louis, one of our friends' children was diagnosed with cancer. And I saw the good that the Ronald McDonald House did for all those families who had children with cancer and gave them a place to stay and feel like a family and feel like their child wasn't being taken away from them in some sort of medical experiment, but it was more of an inclusive experience where the family could be involved. And I saw how much that helped our friends when they were dealing with their son who was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. So some of it is just the innate desire to give everybody every opportunity, but I also saw firsthand how much good the Ronald McDonald House did for a lot of families in need.
That's great, Trey.
Yeah.
And I would love to ask you this: was there a favorite sporting event that you love to cover? Share a little bit about that.
Well, I've always been a huge football fan. That's my favorite sport, and I love golf a lot. So those are probably the two favorite sports I've ever covered. Although I have to say, covering the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City, that was a lot of fun. And being there, having grown up watching the Olympics all those years and to be a part of it was really, really special.
You, correct me if I'm wrong, grew up in Connecticut.
Yes.
Correct. So do you have your favorite team growing up in the NFL? Were you a Giants
I
fan?
did. No, I was a Cowboys fan, and I hate to say that
Wow.
but let me explain. My whole family's from Texas. My mom is from Texarkana. My dad is from San Antonio. I have relatives all over the state. And we lived overseas when I was a young kid. We moved back in the 70s, and the first football game I ever saw was a Monday night football game between the Dallas Cowboys and then the St. Louis Cardinals, who now are, of course, the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
And my parents were like, "Hey, Dallas Cowboys." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's my parents. They knew that, so they became and they won a lot in the 70s. The Giants didn't win at all.
No, they did not.
So
They did not.
that's
They did
sort
not.
of where it started. And once you started, you can't really abandon ship. So I'm stuck with them.
Okay, fair enough. I
Fair
didn't know
enough.
if it was like a Yale Bowl thing, back
I
in the
did go see the Giants play the Cowboys in the Yale Bowl once. I absolutely
I'm
did.
betting the Cowboys won that game.
They did.
Yeah.
Absolutely did.
Wow.
They did. Yeah.
That's
Was
great.
there a favorite Cowboys player that
Roger
you admired
Staubach.
growing up?
Roger Staubach for sure. Tony Dorsett, Drew Pearson. I was glad to see Drew finally get in the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
But Roger was my guy. He was.
I'm assuming over the years you got a chance to meet Roger Staubach.
Did a couple of times. Yeah,
So-
super nice. I've done some stuff with him over the years, and it's
One of
it's
the
fun.
nicest guys you can
Still
meet.
going strong.
What about
Absolutely.
Drew Pearson.
I love Drew.
How was that reaction with him?
Drew is not afraid to show his emotions, and he was finally, when he got in, it was great. So I was happy for him.
All right, so let's talk this game. You already talked about the X factor. Who do you like in the game and why?
Well, listen, I before the year started, I picked the Chiefs to win it. So there's no reason to jump off that bandwagon now. The Eagles are a better team. Top to bottom, they're a better team. But I believe the Chiefs understand the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since they lost Super Bowl 55, 31-9,
Yep.
They know that for them to be considered a great team, they need multiple Super Bowls, much like the Cowboys of the 70s,
Yeah.
the Cowboys of the 90s, excuse me, the Steelers of the 70s, the Niners of the 80s, the
Right.
Patriots of the 2000s and the 2010s.
Right.
They've hosted 5 straight AFC championship games.
Yep.
This is their 3rd Super Bowl in 4 years. They need to win at least one more to be cemented as a team of an era.
Right.
And I think they meet the pressure of the moment, and Mahomes, like he did in the AFC championship game, will them to that title.
If they win this game, do you think they're a dynasty, or is there more work to be done to get that point? It's been a conversation throughout the week.
Yeah, look, they're the first team ever to host 5 straight championship games.
Yep.
They were the first team to host 4.
Mm-hmm.
But in most people's eyes, it don't mean a thing if you don't have that ring.
Yep.
Right.
And I think they need to at least win one more to be considered one of the great teams of all time. And a dynasty is like a 7-year run.
Yeah.
They're in year 5.
Yep.
Yep. And they need more than one to be put on that level of those teams I mentioned.
Is there one more question before I let you go, Trey? Favorite broadcaster growing when I was a kid that you loved so much?
There are a couple, actually. There was a local guy in New York named Warner Wolf who did the highlights. He was the first guy to show highlights all over the country. I thought it was hilarious. Bob Costas was a mentor to me when I went to St. Louis, and he was at NBC Sports for years. And, of course, Ace what? Chris Berman,
Boomer.
nobody circles the wagons.
Like the Buffalo Bills. Boomer.
Exactly. And Boom was very kind to me when I got to ESPN, and we still talk all the time. So those would be the 3.
Awesome. Well,
Awesome,
Trey
Trey.
Wingo, thank you so much for joining us
Thanks,
here. Give us
Trey.
a few minutes on behalf of Caesars. See you around this week.
Week.
Best of luck as you make your rounds today.
Yeah, and thanks so much for all you guys do with the Special Olympics. Really proud to be associated with you guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Hey,
You're
thanks a
welcome,
lot.
Trey. Thanks for
Trey
taking the
Wingo.
time with us.
You got it. Thank you so much.
Oh, hey, thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much,
Hey,
Trey.
yeah.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
a lot for stopping by.
Continued success. Thanks.
Sure, absolutely. I'll get behind right here.
So wherever you want, go for it.
Go for it, Chris. Wherever you want to put the football there.
Thanks, guys. Best
Thanks a lot, Trey.
Cheers.
Thanks, Trey.
It is. Get the live stream. Get some cameras. Get some camera time. It's
Yeah.
Making rounds.
Yeah,
All right. Trey was awesome.
Trey was amazing.
He is the man, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, Caesars, which is of course what Trey's working with. The code word is ARROWFULL. FULL. You can get your first bet on Caesars up to $12.50. If I go any further, I got to read all that legalese, and I can't bring myself to. Okay, it's on. Okay, so you know what? Thank God for producer Richard.
Yeah.
It's on the ticker. Learn how to read. Read it yourselves. Okay.
There you go, Richard.
So thank God, my man.
Richard's been doing a tremendous job, and we got Shaun Alexander on deck, and then after that we got TJ Hockenson.
Right. So we're gonna have Shaun Alexander at about 20 minutes from now, and then we'll have TJ Hockenson here to wrap up the stream. Really appreciate everybody being on. I saw Shaun coming over with a cup. I thought it might have been water.
Good job, Shaun. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job.
Yeah, Mountain Dew.
Mountain
right,
Dew.
At this point, it should just be, what was that? Amp. Remember that? The God, it might even still be a thing. I don't even know. I'll tell you, I never drank energy drinks. It's not my deal. It's not what I do. One time before a hockey game in high school, I had a buddy of mine who basically he's like 80% Red Bull at this point in his life.
Right.
And he had a 4-pack of Amp that he couldn't drink because he had already drank some other thing. So he's like, Verderame, here, have one of these things. It tasted like battery acid. And I remember I was in the first period of the game and I was sitting on the bench and I was just like shaking because I had like 1.5 of these things. I felt bad. I'm like, well, he gave them to me and they were probably $8 a can. So I felt obligated to drink them. And I remember, like, I looked at him during the first intermission. I was like, I'm going to kill you for giving me this thing. I can't. I was trying to stick handle, and I just kept shaking. It was ridiculous.
How long were you shaking for there, Matt?
A good 15 minutes. I was like, it was like I was having like tremors.
Right,
I just kept trying to. It was not ideal.
Oh,
it was
my
not.
goodness.
Let's put it this way. I stayed away from Amp ever since. No offense to the fine people.
Do you like what's your go-to energy drink now? Since you don't like Amp,
water. I don't do it, man. I don't do it. I don't get into the.
Do you like regular water, or do you like vitamin water or flavored water,
I'm
or
a fan
just
of the whole genre?
Right.
I'll take any of them. The only thing, I'm not a big seltzer guy, which is odd because my father basically lives off seltzer water. But I don't like good carbonated water. I like just regular. Like vitamin water is good.
Yeah.
Any like flavored water is cool.
Yeah, flavored water is really cool.
Yeah, so I'm a fan of that.
I love water as well. I love any kind of flavored water, like blue raspberry water, anything water related. Water's the go-to for me.
Yeah, you know what? And somebody's asking if I've ever had a Jolt Cola. No, I have not. But, I'm bad with it. Probably the other reason, by the way, that Amp almost killed me was I've never had a cup of coffee. I just don't drink coffee at all. And I never was I don't like the smell of it as a kid, so I never drank it. So that jolt of caffeine, I think almost.
So in other words, you're not a coffee drinker, am I right?
I am not. No, sir. I know most people are. Most people, that's how they get up and go in the morning. Maybe that would help me to wake up, but no, it's not been something I've partaken in. I gotta say though, if they had a little bit more variety here at the Super Bowl, like I'd go root beer, I'd go orange soda. But Mountain Dew has been it's been by my side throughout the week, and I'm not looking to abandon it now.
Right.
So,
why change anything?
Exactly. Look at where it's gotten me.
Right.
So what are you most excited about to talk Shaun Alexander about?
I want to really talk to him about his playing days with the Seahawks. Sure. Share about his MVP. What was that moment like for him back in 2005 when he was MVP for the Seahawks? And I would love for him to share a funny story that he has with Mike Holmgren, back in his playing days with the Seahawks.
It's crazy. He had 27 rushing touchdowns in 2005.
Yeah, he did.
27. That was the era where everybody said, like Priest Holmes had 1 million touchdowns at that point. That was like the last time when people really ran the ball down near the goal line. Now everybody just spreads out and throws.
And also, you got to remember too, Matt, he was also on the cover of Madden 2007.
He was. You're right. We could ask him about that too.
Yeah, I'll ask him. Yeah, we can ask him about that as well.
So he was one of the great backs of his era. I'm kind of surprised he's never been talked about as a guy who's a Hall of Fame candidate.
Right.
He almost rushed for 10,000 yards. He was an MVP. He was great for the better part of a decade.
And you know where he went to college? University of Alabama.
That's right. He did. He was Roll Tide.
Yep.
So, you're based down in Florida. You got a college team you're into, or?
I follow the UCF Knights. Gus Malzahn. I've been following them all season long. They have a really good team. And that sort of thing. So I follow the UCF Knights. Go Knights, by the way. Shout out to the UCF Knights. Out of Orlando. And Coach Gus Malzahn. Just giving you guys a little shout out. And just saying hello. Saying hello to everybody back home in Florida. Representing you guys really, really well.
That's awesome. He's done a hell of a job. He's a great coach. I'm curious. You start seeing, I know not everybody can see on the camera, but as we're looking around radio, look at Richard. My God, he's on top of it. Get that wide shot. But people are really starting to fill in.
Yeah, it's starting to fill in now, Matt. Like like today is Wednesday. Like you're gonna have literally a boatload of media presence,
No doubt,
contingencies, a lot of different radio affiliates from around the country. You know, today through through the rest of the week. I mean, it's that time of year. It's like Super Bowl week. I mean, everybody's doing interviews or doing their circles and all that.
Yep,
and all that stuff. So it's a fun time of year.
Yeah, no, I think very fair to say as we're getting the full shot here. And you know what? It's good to be able to bring people in because really, if you're not here, it's hard to quite describe what it's like. You can be walking around and it's like, oh, there's Ryan Leaf. And then there's like 10 people you don't know. And you're like, oh, there's Drew Brees.
Right.
And then there's Hunter, who right now looks like he had about 8 Joe Colas. Then you turn around and it's Joe Montana. Or it's just funny. By Wednesday or Thursday, you're so used to it that you're not even phased. You're like, I remember a couple of years ago, bumped into somebody, and I was like, oh, sorry, man. He's like, oh, yeah, that's cool. It's good. I like it's Dan Marino. I'm like, hey, Dan, how are you? But it's been a really good setup this year, I feel like, in Arizona.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, this has been a fun experience so far, and like I said, for me, it's not over. Arizona has been amazing. This time of year, I mean, it's chilly for this time of year. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm used to this kind of weather back home in Florida, and I'm also used to this weather, when I was living up in New York, so I'm used to this.
How long did you live in New York?
I lived in New York, believe it or not, Matt. I actually lived in New York from 1989 all the way down to 2000.
Wow. Okay.
I lived in New York until 2000. Then from 2000, I moved from New York all the way down to Miami. Then from Miami, I moved to Port St. Lucie in 2004, and I've been living in Port St. Lucie ever since.
Okay. All right. Can't complain about that. I will say, at least in Florida, you don't have to deal with the snow.
Thank God for that.
New York.
New York. Yeah, New York. Not so lucky. You have to shovel snow and all that jazz. So I'm grateful I live in the Sunshine State where you don't got to deal with snow and but the humidity is just so brutal.
I don't know how you deal with that.
Yeah, in the Sunshine State, it's so brutal.
As much as I love the warmer climate, get away. I'm not built for the heat. It's no way to live for me. Now, that being said, I envy you when I'm shoveling snow.
Right.
Because at least you don't have to deal with that, especially when you shoveled and it's still coming down and you look out there and you're like, no, there's another 4 inches. I got to go shovel again.
Yeah.
Those are moments when you question every decision you've made leading up to that point. We will have Shaun Alexander in 10 minutes here on Radio Row in Phoenix, Arizona. About 60 degrees outside. It's beautiful. At nighttime, you're going to need that pullover. You're going to need that up in Adams hat.
Yeah, you're going to need that. Yeah, going to need that Bengals hat as well. The chill, today in Phoenix, this morning was like 45 degrees.
Yeah,
45.
No, it gets a little chilly at night. Temperature drop down, of course. We're probably speaking to a lot of people who are based up in the Northeast and the Midwest, and those people are going, that's nice. It's 8 degrees outside.
Right.
So I sympathize with you. I'll be going back there on Tuesdays. I'm just crying. Looking forward to the family. Not so much looking forward to seeing my house covered in 3 feet of snow.
Right.
So what do you, what is your schedule like here the rest of the day? Obviously, we have the stream until noon. I know we have a spot with CBS later on a little bit.
Yeah, and and then I also have an interview as well with Ithaca College today.
Okay.
And then I also have another Zoom interview with Tyree Smith of ESPN 106.3 back in South Florida. That's a virtual interview as well today. So that's what I got on my agenda for the rest of the day, Matt.
How far away are you staying from Radio Row?
Staying at the Radisson, not too far from here.
Okay.
So we stay at the Radisson, and then Friday to Monday I'll be at the Red Roof Inn.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? It's going to be interesting. Once you hit the weekend, everything changes because a lot of people go home, Radio Row empties out, and it's just about the game.
Yeah.
You got Saturday to kind of chill out, relax. I know I'll be face down sleeping most of Saturday.
Well, Saturday, what I may do is I may try to go to the Super Bowl experience.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, I really need to take advantage of that, and
Absolutely, yeah.
see what it's like, and just experience something like that.
No, I'm with you. Saturday for me is a day where I know how long Sunday's about to be.
Yeah.
So I always say, I'm just gonna chill, be low key. Might go out, might get a new dress shirt for the game. Get some food, have a beer, relax, and then knowing Sunday it is an all day event because you got if you're there for press, which of course we will be.
Yeah, we're there all day.
You're there like 5 hours before the game starts. So and then God bless him, they got Scott Hansen usually up to doing he's on the mic and he's talking from the field. That man's got to entertain for 5 hours.
Yeah,
they should have like a cut guy like they do in boxing for him to towel him off. It's insane.
Not like that in football, Matt. Not like that.
I know.
5 hours straight. I'll be there alongside with you.
You will be
for the 5 hours, and it should be a lot of fun. My first Super Bowl ever, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. It's a great time.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch the game, talk to the players afterwards. We're going to have post-game sound. So we'll be going up talking to the Eagles, talking to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing because I've been in both kind of areas where the team that wins is obviously elated. They just won the Super Bowl.
The other team is dejected when they don't.
And the other side of it is just tough. I remember I was talking to Joe Burrow last year after the game, and he was very professional, but you just sat. I mean, just down. It's a very, very interesting breakdown where some guys are elated, and the other side of it is
not so much
is despair.
And you got to remember too, if you may not even get an opportunity to be back there.
Right, you never know.
Yeah, it's a grind of the NFL. You have 256 regular season, and you have postseason games, and you have 18 weeks of football. So, and you got to remember back in the day, you only had 17 weeks. Now
Correct.
You have that extra game. So now you got to consider injuries and that sort of thing, and load management and those sort of things. So you got to put that in perspective too.
Yeah, it's harder than it's ever been to get to the Super Bowl, right? I mean, in the salary cap era, teams are more competitive. There's a lesser split between the good and the bad,
right?
And then on top of that, as you mentioned, a longer season,
right?
It's a longer season,
and not only that, you're playing every team in your division, and you're playing teams outside your conference that you don't even play on a regular basis.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely the case. I mean, it's a longer, harder year, but it's one of those things that if you get there, you've earned it more than ever.
Right.
I mean, you've earned that more than you ever have because of the 17th game. And if you're a wild card team, you have to play 20 games just to get there.
And it's not easy.
No, it is not.
Right. I mean, and you got to remember, only one team in the AFC gets gets home field, and also in the NFC. The rest of the teams, they get a bye. The rest of the teams will play in the divisional round, but you get that bye. Once you get that bye, you're like, okay, we get to rest for a week. You get to see what the other teams are going to do. Then you got to plan and say, okay, this is the team we got to play next week or whatever case may be. And you have to prep. You have to prepare. You got to watch film about that particular team you're playing. So it's not easy.
No, it is not. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of dedication in the offseason to get ready just for the season and the grind that there is. Shaun Alexander coming to you in 5 minutes. As Malcom pointed out, former Alabama Crimson Tide star. So that'll be a good time. We'll have him on. We'll talk about his cause, which is faith in football. And then we'll wrap up the stream
with TJ Hockenson of the Minnesota Vikings.
Yes, so that'll be good. I'm looking forward to talking about those guys. Get a little bit of a past and then a present. So
good way to close out. Good way to close out a Stack in the Box live stream. Yeah,
I'm curious to see with Alexander in particular, which running backs kind of remind him of himself that he watches today.
Yeah, I'm interested to seeing what he has to say about today's running backs versus the running backs he played back in the day. I'm interested to hearing that as well.
So this week, if you had to take a guess, who has more rushing yards? Is it going to be Miles Sanders or will it be Isaiah Pacheco?
For me, it's going to be – I'm going to go with Miles Sanders of the Eagles. He's going to have more rushing yards than Isaiah Pacheco. You also have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who they add as well.
Yep.
To the roster, for the Chiefs. So for me, Miles Sanders will have more rushing yards than Isaiah Pacheco because Isaiah Pacheco's a rookie, and you know what the Eagles defense is going to want to do. They're going to want to slow down the rookie running back from Kansas City, Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the Chiefs use Pacheco because McKinnon is their blocking back.
Right.
This is a game where obviously you want to make sure your protection's right against Eagles front. I think McKinnon's going to play a lot in this game. So
I really do.
I do. I think McKinnon's going to play more than Pacheco.
Right. Be honest with you.
So I'm with you. I think you're right. I think it's going to be Miles Sanders, who is obviously the lead back for the Eagles.
Right.
I think the Chiefs are going to go a little bit more by committee in this game.
Yeah, I agree. And for me as well, the question from my thing is going to be that Eagles defense with Ndamukong Suh, who they got from the Buccaneers. I mean, they're going to have to get pressure on Mahomes. If they don't get pressure on him, he's going to run around all game long, and that's going to be taxing for that Eagles front seven. So for me, they gotta do a good job staying home on Mahomes. Don't allow him to get outside that pocket, and once he gets outside that pocket, it's a totally different animal.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, and that's going to be a big thing with the ankle, right? How much can he run around? How much can he get outside? I wouldn't be surprised early in the game Chiefs try to roll him out a little bit, make Philadelphia respect that.
Right, exactly.
So, look, I'm interested. We were talking to Trey Wingo earlier, and he mentioned he thinks the player of the game has to be Chris Jones for the Chiefs. He's kind of the X factor for him. I'm very interested to see how the Chiefs move him around this game. They'll play him inside mostly. They'll play him outside occasionally.
Right.
They'll get him some one-on-ones.
Exactly.
I'm fascinated to see exactly how the Chiefs go about that, trying to manipulate the matchups.
I'm along the lines with you, Matt. I'm interested in seeing how they move Chris Jones around defensively when it comes to when it comes to Steve Spagnuolo. What kind of blitzes is he going to dial up on Jalen Hurts? What kind of are they going to blitz? Are they going to play some kind of blitz packages? Are they going to try to do like a 4-3 type of defense? Right. Are they going to go man? Or are they going to go zone? So it's all going to be up to what Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, decides to do on Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be interesting. I'm very curious to see if they bring a lot of pressure, if they just bring 4, they try to sit back. I think they're going to blitz. I think they're going to bring a lot of pressure, just knowing the way Spagnuolo coaches his team.
Yeah, no one how Spags loves to bring the blitz for Kansas City. They're going to blitz on Hurts, and for me, Jalen Hurts is going to have to be able to stand there in that pocket and be able to throw that football over the top on that Chiefs defense, on that Chiefs front seven, on that secondary, and make the secondary, get on their toes a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting. This year, the Eagles had 80 explosive plays.
Yeah.
Okay. The only team that had more, the Chiefs, with 83. So these are the 2 most explosive teams in the NFL by that measure.
But, the key for that is going to be which team can limit that explosive play. That's going to be the key.
Yep.
Because, like you said, both teams led the NFL in explosive plays all season long. So, for me, whichever team can limit the explosive plays, that's going to be the team that wins.
No doubt. I think that's a huge part of it. I think that's why the Chiefs will sit in their 2 high looks. They're going to keep those safeties back, try to take Brown and Smith away on the deep ball,
right,
and make the Eagles drive the field. That's where the run defense comes into play. And that's where Chris Jones comes into play.
Right.
Can you get that quick pressure? Can you force that quick throw that's maybe a tougher window and it's incomplete? Right. That's where it's going to be so pivotal.
And for me, what I want to see Jalen Hurts do is stay in the moment, stay in that pocket, that shoulder. You got to protect them. If I'm the Eagles offensive line, my message to them would be, you got to protect Jalen Hurts and that shoulder. Protect
no doubt.
That offensive line. If I'm Coach Sirianni, I say to my guys, protect Jalen Hurts, make him get outside that pocket and protect that shoulder.
You're going to have some very motivated offensive lines in this game.
Yeah.
Because you got 2 quarterbacks. You've all the coaches all week. Don't let them get hit.
Right.
And that's one thing. We've talked about the injuries, but you never know in these games one hit could change the whole game.
Right.
You know, whether it's Mahomes' ankle all of a sudden, now he's going to be, or Hurts gets hit,
Right.
lands on that shoulder, and now it's, well, he can't really throw the ball.
Right.
So, you know, it's so much that's uncertain about this game, but it's also adding to the intrigue because you just don't know.
Right. And I want to see when Jalen Hurts takes that hit on one of the Kansas City defenders.
Yep.
How is he going to react when he gets hit on the shoulder? Is he going to stay upright, or is he going to be clutching that shoulder and be like, I'm feeling discomfort. I can't throw.
Right. It's going to be interesting. And even if he can throw, can he drive the ball?
Right.
You know, there's so many questions.
There's so many
shoulder injury
unknowns,
for a
you know,
quarterback.
but that's why you know what Chris Berman always says. That's why they play the game. You just never know.
That's right. I know. I couldn't agree more. We will have Shaun Alexander any minute here stopping by. He's, I'm sure, got about a million different obligations. So no worries there. He will come by, and then we'll have TJ Hockenson, and that'll be it. We'll wrap the show at that point. And then we'll be back after an hour break where I actually might actually chug Mountain Dew alongside. I got a $28 pulled pork sandwich that the company ought to be picketing out front over. But we'll be back an hour after the stream ends just on Arrowhead Addict, and that'll be 2 hours. We'll have Adam Best come on late in the show. We'll have some guests from here. We'll have Joe Montana from Radio Row. We'll have some others as well. Adam Vinatieri. A couple guys who know a little bit about winning the Super Bowl. So that'll be good. And of course, with Joe, I've got to ask him about his days with the Chiefs, and then be a complete fan because I've done a lot of these interviews. I don't get nervous. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Interviewing him, it's going to be a little bit different. Might be a little bit.
So what's going to be different interviewing him?
Oh, he was my hero growing up as a kid. He was my hero. So I'm going to be nervous, but I can't wait to see him. We're able to add him late, and that'll be fun. So as we wait here for Shaun Alexander to join us, he should be here momentarily. Do you think, if I said to you more or less, Mahomes 275 passing yards in this game, where would you go?
I would go more.
So would I.
I'm going to go more.
Would you go over 300?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over 300. More touchdown passes. Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes?
Mahomes.
More receiving yards. The duo of Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, or Travis Kelce and Juju Smith-Schuster?
I will take Brown and Smith because I think they're going to get pretty much the bulk of the receiving yardage, where I think the Chiefs will also throw to McKinnon and Tony and MVS, and they'll spread it around more than Philly will. But I think the Chiefs will throw for more yardage. I think the Chiefs will throw for 100 more yards or so.
More sacks, the Chiefs defense or the Eagles defense?
I'm going to surprise you with this. I think the Chiefs.
Wow.
Because I think they'll get Mahomes to get rid of the ball quickly in this game. I think it's not necessarily a knock on the Eagles. I think it'll be just the Chiefs do that. The Chiefs are second in sack rate on offense. They do not get sacked.
Right.
The Eagles are 24th.
Right.
Hurts will hold the ball in a way that I don't think Mahomes will.
Right.
So I actually think the Chiefs, because they're getting rid of the ball quickly, they'll take fewer sacks in the game.
I agree with you on that one, Matt. I'm going to go Chiefs as well. Jalen Hurts holds the ball for too long sometimes, and he just doesn't seem to get it out quickly enough. Like, you got to be able to get the ball out of your hands quick, because when you're playing this Chiefs front seven, they're going to get after you. They're going to pressure you. And like we talked about, Steve Spagnuolo likes to blitz.
He does.
So when he likes to blitz, I want to see how Jalen Hurts reacts. Is he going to be able to stand there in that pocket and get the ball out of his hands quick, or is he going to hold on to the ball for too long and that Chiefs defense gets after him?
Yeah, and I think that's part of it too. Philadelphia doesn't blitz as much.
Right.
They sit in his own defense. The Chiefs might get 2 or 3 sacks just based off the fact they're going to bring extra guys.
Right.
Right. And if you can confuse the offensive line once or twice, that might be a couple of those sacks. So,
and that's what I love about Kansas City. They love to confuse the opposing team. And they're like, they get you out of what you like to do best.
Yes.
And it's kind of similar to what New England does a lot, under Coach Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick likes to get you out of your comfort zone, like what you like to do most. He tries to make you go one-dimensional and try to make you think, okay, if I have a good defense, gotta slow you down.
Hey,
Here we go.
welcoming
We got
in,
Shaun Alexander.
Shaun Alexander, former MVP. Shaun, how are you?
I'm
What's going
good.
on?
How you guys doing?
Awesome,
Doing
Shaun.
well.
Radio
Doing
Row
well.
is crazy, isn't it?
It is
Yeah, it is.
packed, man. Did you just
Packed.
get in today?
Yeah, we got in yesterday afternoon.
Okay, because the first 2 days has not been that bad, but today has been.
Yeah, today's been.
It's ramped up significantly.
Yeah, it's cranked up then. Yeah, that's good.
So we got plenty to get into. Before we get into it, I wanted to ask you. I know you're here on behalf of Faith in Football.
Yeah.
Why? What is it? What does that mean to you?
You know, I was blessed with the opportunity to meet Jesus in a non-religious kind of way, to really just say, like, man, like, no one is good but God, right?
Yeah.
You're full of sin. There's some negative things about all of us that would make us not worthy enough to sit in paradise forever. But there was a Savior named Jesus, and I was like, wow, I want to know who that is. And to have a real relationship with Jesus is not about rule following, but about walking in a relationship every day. And so I love that I get to live my life sharing that same love, passion, connection with everybody, saying like, yeah, every day, like, if the goal is to be perfect, no one's going to get in, you know. But man, we got an opportunity to go have a relationship with the all-satisfying, all-knowing God.
You have a favorite? Scripture that you have a favorite Bible verse?
Yeah, my favorite Bible verse is Psalms 37:4. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desire of your heart. And it was one of the first scriptures that I ever memorized on my own. And I was in college; I was a freshman, so I learned it right before this big LSU game. And I was the third stringer, and God let everybody get hurt and let me come and shine. Like, He doesn't do that for everybody, but He allowed me the wonderful opportunity of what happens when you delight yourself in the Lord.
Right.
I just enjoyed studying the word and praying. It was like for like 2 weeks. That was a bye week before that game. And I was just studying and praying and learning. And what happened is I ended up becoming like a superstar overnight on that little campus in Tuscaloosa, you know? And so what God showed me was, it's like, yeah, the goal wasn't to be a superstar for me. It never was. It was, God, can you give me moments in my life just over and over and over again where I know it had to be you?
Right.
So the fact that I could play, you know, it was like, I think it was like 8 versus 9, ESPN game. I done stayed up all night playing video games because I'm the third stringer, you know what I mean? And then He's going to let me have the greatest game in Alabama history. And it still stands. 20 carries, 291 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And I did almost all of it in the second half.
Awesome. Go ahead,
That's
man.
God.
It worked out well for you.
Yeah, it's good.
No, and that's great. I wanted to ask you about your career with the Seahawks, because obviously it was very decorated. You won MVP.
Yep.
You watch running backs now, and look, if you have 15 touchdowns, that's a ton. I mean, that's like you're leading the league.
Yeah.
You're 27 in 1 year. Like, do you ever stop and think to yourself, like, man, I don't know if anybody's ever going to have 27 again? And also, like, how hard was that on you to have 27 touchdowns rushing in a single season?
Yeah, it was crazy because, you know, when I got over 20, they said, Shaun, you, Marshall Faulk, and Emmitt Smith are the only 2 guys ever to have 20 touchdowns back to back. And I thought, oh, okay, that was like the first time I realized what I was doing was crazy. And then they were like, 5 years, 15 touchdowns in a row. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, you know, it's like video game stuff now. You know what I mean? And so I didn't know, when you're in it, you don't know that you're doing that. You're just playing. And so it's hard to explain then what was going through my mind, except get better, take care of the little things, you know, love your teammates, you know, get better as a football player. You know, so it's funny now when I think about it. I was like, dang, I was that guy. but when it was happening, you're just trying to get better every week.
Talk about being on the cover of Madden 2007. What was that like?
Yeah, you know, that was awesome. You know, I come from a big family. My mom had 6 sisters and 1 brother, so 30-something cousins, and you know, family reunions were awesome. And I remember one of the nephews, you know what I mean? So they come up and they're like, you know, Shaun, you're on the cover of Madden. That you're like the guy. And I was like, you've been with me. Like, I was the high school player of the year, the college All-American in college, broke Alabama's records.
But that was what it was.
Got to the pro, won the MVP, already been to the Super Bowl. He's like, oh, but now you on Madden. I was like, okay, well, hey, you know, whatever you need. So that game has always been special. And the EA Sports people have always treated me well through that process and ever since. So it was special.
And do you ever you look back on your career and you were a 3-time Pro Bowler, you were an MVP, an All-Pro, went to Super Bowl, all the things you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you don't get enough talk for the Hall of Fame?
Well, to be honest,
Honestly?
yes. Yeah,
Yes.
honestly, I do. I think that when you look at my stats, you got to go make up you got to start about talking about other things that have nothing to do with what I did, so that's a little unfortunate, and they'll be like, he was great, but wasn't his line great? You're like, yeah, they were great. So what's that gonna do with me? Oh, he was great, but you know what? So people have to make other excuses. But my dad told me a long time ago, he said, when you're great is when everybody starts taking it for granted.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there's a little bit of that's just happened, So you get 100 touchdowns, and all of a sudden everybody's like, yeah, well, you only had 100. I'm like, okay, all right, so let's take it for granted. Got all right. I'm just gonna let that slide where it goes. I think that the players, the legends, I call Emmitt Smith and we'll talk on the phone, or Marshall Faulk, or Marcus Allen, or even Tony Dorsett when he's been around.
Yeah.
They all treat me like we'll be eating dinner. They'll be like, that's right, you're not in the Hall of Fame. They're all shocked, know. And so that is always it's always honoring. I still want the gold jacket, but it is weird.
Yeah.
Awesome, Matt. Shaun, I would like to ask you, today's game versus when you played, is there a running back that you love to watch? Who emulates your game?
So emulate like completely.
Yeah.
Not, but there's some guys I love. So I love Dalvin Cook. I love Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb was coached by Stump Mitchell. Stump Mitchell was my running back coach in Seattle. So there's a lot of like things that like how he's thinking of the game. I'm like, oh, I see that really well. Both those guys, they run the ball in between the tackles. They have great bursts. They make big plays. They break tackles. I've been really proud of Kenneth Gainswell. My own Seattle love. He has a great burst right before contact, and that's something that if you have it at a young age, when you start to learn how to do it even better, it becomes more dominant. So I think he's going to have just a wonderful year. He's going to just have a wonderful career. And then I love Jonathan Taylor. So there's a couple of backs I'm just really like, yeah, they're doing it the right way.
Last question before I let you go. Super Bowl 57, Chiefs and the Eagles. Who do you like and why?
Gosh, I've still got to go with the Eagles. I mean, they dominate the trenches. Both their offensive line just works so well together. Defensive line is just very stubborn. They got 3 running backs and a quarterback. Almost run the wishbone like back in the day. But they just do so many things so well. I think that they're gonna win the game.
Okay, Shaun. Thank you for your time, man.
It's been great. It's been great. No doubt.
Hey, thanks a lot.
No doubt.
Shaun Alexander, one of the best running backs of the last 20 years, and an MVP. You won't see too many MVP running backs, and yet Shaun Alexander, one of them, deservedly so. We'll have TJ Hockenson here any second
now,
and that's it. And then we'll wrap. And I'll need a cut man, boxing man. And then we'll be back on from 1 to 3 local time, 2 to 4 Central Time. On the Arrowhead Addict stream. Saw Patrick Allen roll in. Good for him. Must have been nice sleeping this morning.
Yeah.
No such luck. I thought Shaun was great. He was really honest about the fact that he thinks he deserves more Hall of Fame recognition. And I agree with him. He had almost 10,000 yards rushing. Had essentially, I think it was 11,000 yards, 11,000 from scrimmage.
If I had to vote for him as a Hall of Famer, he'll be in my book. Because,
no one in the world can tell me that he was not as good as Jerome Bettis.
Right.
He was clearly a better running back than Jerome, but the man was a 3-time Pro Bowler, an All-Pro, 2005 MVP, all-decade team. Like
that's unheard of.
Man belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
I mean, 100 rushing touchdowns, had 12 more receiving. To me, he's one of the more underrated players of the last 20 years. I genuinely feel that way.
And he was on the cover of Madden 2007.
He was.
How amazing is that? That is just rare that you get on the cover of a football video game. It's just so rare.
Yeah, absolutely. And on top of that, that was a funny story he told us about his family.
Yeah.
But that was the thing that kind of made people go, oh, hey, yeah, he was pretty good. But hey, video games have that power. People People love their video games.
Are you a Madden type of guy?
I was when I was growing up. I
Right.
played Madden all the time growing up.
Right.
Now I have a wife and 2 kids, and
You
there's
just don't
no
have time
time
to play.
There's no. I play a lot of like baseball and hockey now. For reason, if I have time, that's what I'll play.
Do you have a NHL 22 or 23?
I do. I have the new one, so 23.
Yeah, I have. I just got Madden 23. Just started playing it. It looks so realistic. Like when you play it, it's amazing. The offense, my team that I use the most, I use the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my team I use.
Oh,
And
fun team to play with.
Yeah, fun team to play with. Playing with Mahomes and Kelsey and those guys. I'm really good at Madden. I haven't lost a game, so I'm pretty good at it.
Good for you. Yeah, if I was that good, I would probably have to isolate myself from the family and play for money.
Right.
But I can't and I won't.
Right.
So, you know what? I mean, I can't imagine. You go to a store and you're on the cover of a video game.
Yeah.
Like that's it's got to be just a wild mind trip.
Yeah,
It really
it's insane. And since we interviewed Shaun Alexander, I'm gonna ask you what was your favorite part of the interview, Matt?
Probably just his answer about the Hall of Fame. Honestly, just because he was so genuine. A lot of times, guys will go, "Oh no, I don't feel like that," and then they deep down, you're like, "Yeah, you do."
Right.
I thought he was just honest. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was interesting, the story about Alabama and how he kind of came onto the scene.
Right.
Had that big first game. Just an interesting guy.
I mean, for me, I just loved how he talked about being on the cover of Madden 2007, and and just how he was able to do all those accolades back in the day. And I loved how he talked about the fact that that the running backs that he mentioned, that he loves to watch. Like he mentioned Dalvin Cook, Kenneth Gainwell, just to name a few. I mean, he just loves watching them. And I mean, nobody's gonna most likely get 27 rushing touchdowns. That's just insane. And
no, I don't know what was that.
Yeah, it's tough to do, because when you rush for 27 touchdowns, you gotta stay healthy, obviously, and it's an 18-week regular season, and the NFL today now has just changed the game so much.
No question. We're gonna have TJ Hockenson joining us here literally in about 10 seconds.
Here
sit down and
comes
join
TJ
us.
Hockenson now.
Have 10 minutes with him, and then we're gonna wrap the stream. So, TJ, what's going on?
TJ, what's up, man?
How we doing?
Good.
Hey, welcome on.
Welcome
over,
aboard.
man.
I love it.
So, right off the bat, first off, you're here at Radio Row, walking around. I'm sure you got a lot going on. Can you just tell the people watching, what are you repping? What are you here for? And why take on the cause?
Yeah, I'm here with Sleep Number to be here with a Minnesota-based company. They're from they work with the team all the time. And they just actually partnered with the American Cancer Society. So me being at Iowa, working with the Children's Hospital, seeing all those kids really fight for their life in the Cancer Society, and so for them to kind of tie it in all together, I was based in that, and so to be able to work with a company that's truly doing that is incredible. So it's been awesome to be here, been awesome to kind of meet this company, and really make it's such an easy form for us. So my sleep number is 45. I don't know what y'all's is if you got it, but it's been great to be here. So super excited.
Man, TJ, I mean, I want to talk about your impressive season with the Minnesota Vikings. Share a little bit about the season you had, with the team, and what are you looking forward to in the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible to be there. It's such a great organization. They're building a culture that will last for sure, and trying to make sure the right people are in it. Which they got a lot of great guys, and so to be there, come halfway through the season, it was a lot. But they couldn't have accepted me any better, or any more than they did. And to have such a great head coach as in KO, and to really look up to him, and his play calling was a ton of fun, and just kind of learning from them and Kirk, and I had a blast. It really was something that was meant to be, something that I'm meant to be there, and so I'll be there for hopefully a long time, and we'll get this thing rolling again. So
I wanted to ask, not many guys get traded midseason, and certainly not many guys are traded in the division. Like, how shocked were you when all that went down, and how long did it kind of take you to assimilate into a new team and a new offense?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to make that trade, and me being able to play as seamless as possible. I mean, I wanted to make sure that my teammates weren't worried about me knowing what was going on. So, I really dove into the playbook, tried to understand what they were trying to do, and what the goal was in that specific play, and what they were trying to do as an offense. I've been in 4 now in 4 years, so. Kind of learning it, switching my mind. Wasn't too hard. I have a little tidbits that helped me transition a little easier. But yeah, it was truly incredible. It was, it's one of those things. I got the call, and they told me it was Minnesota, and I'm like, oh, all right, sounds good. Appreciate it. So, but then I got a call from KO, and he was like, we're super excited to have you. And that's all you want as a player is to be wanted, and so that's what you feel in Minnesota, and that's what you feel in that culture. So excited to be there. It's going to be a fun time that I have there as long as it is, and so can't wait, man.
Were you surprised you were traded just in general, or did you expect it?
I mean, to say you expect a trade is a little, you don't really ever expect that, so I had an understanding that it might be coming. I wasn't 100% sure. I just bought a house the year before, so I wasn't 100% sure, obviously,
right.
But the way the season was going, and we only had 1 win when I was leaving, so I kind of had a feeling that it was going to happen. You start hearing rumors, you start hearing this stuff, but and then I talked to my guys there, my coaches that. I loved and respected that were like, no, dude, don't worry about it. And then, it ends up happening. It was an interesting call, but I kind of had an idea that it was going to. So,
you got a favorite song you listen to before a game?
Before a game, I don't know if I have a favorite song, but lately I've been listening to some country. Really been liking Tyler Childers. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but. Yeah. My girl got me into him, so it's been that's kind of the guy I listen to. A little more calming music. I don't need any more hype than I already have going into a
right.
game. You're already antsy. The nerves are already rolling. So I kind of like that calming music, and his music really puts everything in perspective. He talks about life and everything, so I do enjoy that.
This game has 2 of the best tight ends in the league in it: Travis Kelce, Dallas Goedert. Are there some of the guys around the league that you pattern your game after? Maybe not even pattern after, but take some things from, watch on tape. You know what? I'd like to incorporate that more into my game.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you watch a lot of film in the off season, and you watch a lot of your position. So I mean, I watched a lot of Travis, watched a lot of George, and then I go to the past. I mean, Tony Gonzalez, Dallas Clark, those guys that you go back. Gronkowski, how he used his body, and how he, saw where he was and how he felt where he was in space. And so there's a lot of things that you take and you try to translate into your game. But, you have so many great players in this league and so many great tight ends that, you never really want to be attached to one of them, or you never, so you just try to take tidbits, and your game is your game,
Since we have Super Bowl 57, who are you leaning towards? You leaning towards the Chiefs or the Eagles?
Well, I played the Eagles this year. Earlier in the year, they're such a good team. They got a lot of great players, and it was so early where I think they were still trying to feel out where they were. But I only grew up about 2 hours away from Kansas City, going to their games. So I think I'm gonna have to go with KC on this one.
It's one thing whether it be as a media member, as a fan, watching the games, but when you watch Mahomes as a player, especially as an offensive player, pass catcher, do you even at times watch him and just say, I don't know how in the world he did that? Or from your perspective, do you see it a little bit differently when you watch his games?
I mean, he's incredible. I mean, just the way he can scramble, keep his eyes downfield, and make guys open. I mean, he attaches a lot of defenders when he gets out of the pocket, because he can run for 30 if he wants, and then when he does that, then guys are open. So to watch his game as a player and, you know, as a receiver, it's pretty cool, you know, because you're like, dang, that was dope. You know, there's not many guys in this league that can do that. You know, and to do what he does. I mean, you remember his last year's was the NFC Championship where he sidearms it, you know, and there's not many guys with that arm talent and what he can do. So he's a player that you love to watch, and you know, you don't miss many games of.
One more question, TJ, and we'll get you out of here.
Cool.
Favorite Rihanna song?
Favorite Rihanna song? Oh man, I don't know. I'm not a huge Rihanna guy.
I'm shocked by that.
Really?
Yeah.
I was gonna say. I was like, I don't even know.
No.
That's hard to come up with on the top of my head.
No, hey man, fair enough.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. What's yours?
Wild Thoughts.
Wild Thought. Okay. All right. It's all right. I don't know.
I'm in your fault, man.
Yeah.
Is that wow? Is that what-
Yeah. Wild Thoughts.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, I
Yeah.
kind of know that one.
Yeah.
Well, listen, DJ, thanks so much for joining us today on behalf of Sleep Number. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Yep.
Best of luck walking around this week, and certainly with the Vikings going forward.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, TJ.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, TJ.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
All right, that is TJ Hockenson with Sleep Number. Can't thank him enough. We are wrapping up this live stream here at Stacking the Box. For Malcom, I am Matt Verderame. Thank you so much for being here. We will be back on the Arrowhead Addict stream in an hour from now, but until then, we'll chat soon. Make sure to like and subscribe on the way out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
See you later.
See you guys later.